Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 17 of the Arcade Repair Tips live show. My name is Jonathan Lee Young, and I am joined, as always, with Mr. Arcade Repair Tips himself, Tim Pearson. Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, John. It's a little hot here in Texas these days.
It is, but it is storming outside where we are located, and so we may be getting some rain. Some cooler temperatures may be coming through.
You know how hot it was yesterday, though?
How hot?
I bought a loaf of bread at the store, set it in the seat beside me, and when I got home, I had toast.
Well, there you go. Very good. Well, it is very hot here in Texas during the summertime. Hopefully, it is nice and comfortable wherever you are. And Tim, of course, for our U.S. viewers, we do want to mention that yesterday was Independence Day, 4th of July. Yes. And so, did you have a good 4th of July, Tim?
Had a great 4th of July. Just basic. Went to work, got some games working, then went swimming.
Went to work?
Yeah, I had to work for a little while. Chuck E. Cheese don't ever close.
Right.
And
I understand. Well, you know,
it was a slow day though.
Yeah, some people had to work yesterday, unfortunately. But for those of you who didn't, hopefully you had a wonderful Independence Day holiday. Tim, I did. I got to sit by the pool, got to watch some baseball, some fireworks. Pure American, right?
Right.
So there you go.
You know who had to work yesterday?
Who?
Everybody in England.
There you go. That is true.
But sorry, UK friends.
There we go. Well, outside of Independence Day and everything, Tim, what's been going on? How are things at the big CEC, Chuck E. Cheese?
Everything's good. Summertime's in full swing. Just been busy, you know, lots to do.
Well, you know, and again, a lot of people don't realize how busy it is during the summertime. Of course, Tim, spring break is probably one of your busiest times, if not the busiest. But summertime ranks right up there with that.
Yeah,
as well.
It's just kind of steady during the summer.
Exactly. So a lot of things going on. Now, guys, we want to remind you that you can communicate with us during the show by using the live chat. And Tim, I know that you've already been answering some questions. Unfortunately, we had a short delay today, mainly due to some family and technical issue type things, and so it happens. But we're on now, and we're happy to be with you right now. But if you want to communicate with us during the show, please use the live chat. You can ask us questions there, and you can also, make comments about anything that we discuss here on the live show. So we'd love for you guys to interact with us that way. Tim, is there anything interesting in there that you found while I was out doing other things?
Well, we just had one question. It's about a guy that was trying to put a Miss Pac-Man board with an adapter into his JAMA cabinet.
Gotcha.
And so we'll get back to him in a minute.
Well, let's go. Since you already brought it up, why don't we just go ahead and talk about his question? We'll read here. It says Armando, right?
Yes.
Is that the one? Okay. It says, "Hi guys, I have a Miss Pac-Man original board that I'd like to use in my JAMA arcade cabinet. I have an adapter from Mike's Arcade. It's from 2016. The adapter is. I've been having trouble getting it to work. The first time I plugged it in, the screen showed this weird pink squiggly picture and a weird sound from the speaker. The second time, I have numbers, letters, and Miss Pac-Man sprites." And so he has some sprites, it sounds like, Tim, but there are other issues obviously going on here. With the squiggly stuff, a lot of times when we get squiggly lines, Tim, it has to do with sync, right? We have like a sync issue or something like that. If you're only getting sprites, though, could be a board issue. And I think you mentioned
that's what I asked him. Was he sure that it was a working Miss Pac board before he put it into this cabinet? Did he answer that yet?
He did not say, but he did say that he has been using power supply for Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter, and that it works with that board apparently.
Okay.
So the fact that it works with that means you probably have a working power supply. Miss Pac-Man boards, though, Tim, a lot of times are very frail. So if you're moving it and you're jostling it a little bit, you need to make sure that you're pressing down on especially like the Z80 processor type things to make sure that they're making a good connection. Because as you move those boards, a lot of times those socketed chips may move a little bit and may not be all
very easily, especially that daughter board that you're talking about.
Right.
Or that Z80 processor chip looks like a board.
Exactly.
On there. And that will cause
a lot of times
issues.
You'll see those zip tied on. There's a reason they're zip tied is to keep them in place. But sometimes people will not zip tie those and they will not be in place. And so you do want to go through and just press down on all the chips, make sure they're all making a good connection. If obviously if it was working before, then it may be something minor. But if you only have sprites, no movement or anything, it could be that Z80 processor is dislodged and not making communication.
Another thing I asked him, make sure it's plugged in correctly. It's really easier with some of those adapters to plug it in the wrong way.
That is correct. Yeah, make
backwards.
sure that you have it keyed correctly. Pin 7 on JAMA, Tim, of course, is the key, and so you need to match up that part on that end, and you also need to match up the board side of it, the Miss Pac-Man board side of it, with either parts or solder side, depending on which side you're trying to plug into.
Yes.
And like you said, we used to have a 1942 that had a JAMA adapter. Right. Very easy to plug in backwards. In fact, you did it before.
Yes, I have.
The good news was that it didn't damage the board to do that.
No,
but still, you do not want to do that if you can avoid it.
Definitely do it.
Right, because it can send voltage to parts of the board that don't necessarily need it. So you need to be careful with that always. Okay, let's see what else we have here. GameStop Adventure shirt. Somebody recognize your shirt, Tim. There you go. You like it?
Yes.
I gave that to Tim today just for the live show.
Yeah.
So, no special occasion or anything. Just, hey, live show, here's a free t-shirt. So, not free, I had to pay it.
Right.
But anyway, Armando did come back. I keep hearing that with any Pac-Man board, you have to have 5 volts. That's absolutely correct. It needs to have 5 volts in order to play, or you will have issues. So make sure your 5-volt line is good getting to the board. One of the best ways, Tim, to measure that is to actually measure it at the pin on the board.
Right.
Okay, so if you want to take your multimeter and make sure that you have 5 volts. And Tim, the pinouts for Miss Pac a lot of times say +7 volts AC.
Right.
Because they used, instead of using a power switching power supply,
right,
they actually used an AC transformer in a lot of Miss Pac-Man cabinets. But you can still send 5 volts DC to that same place and it will work properly. So make sure that you're getting a good 5 volts DC to these +7 VAC pins on your Miss Pac-Man as well. Okay, let's see what else here. Let's see. Somebody says, hot in here, Buckeye State. That's from Mr. Silverball Mania. Michael says, hello, I have a wide, thin yellow ground strap going to my control panel. Is that overkill because it's not long enough and I need more? Is it overkill to have a thin yellow ground strap going to your control panel?
It's really not, especially in the old days. What it did was ground your whole front of your game. What you really want to look for is that your coin mechanisms and stuff are grounded, because sometimes you'll get a little shock if they're not.
Right, and that's from, I should say that's from Michael.
But if he's not coining it up, and he's not getting shocked, and game's playing fine, don't worry about it so much.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you have a little bit of voltage going to like your control panel buttons, but not a whole lot.
Right.
Not like what you have going to your coin door, and that's why it's more important to have your coin door grounded to your ground pin on your power cord.
But it's never a bad idea to just ground it anyway, and you can run a separate ground wire. You don't have to use that big yellow strap wire.
Exactly. Yeah, you can do your own strap if you want to, your own wire from that, or you can extend what you have. And it sounds like that's kind of the way you're going. He says, "Where do I get more? Where would he get more?"
I don't know that anybody still sells that yellow strap.
But you could solder a wire to it, or you could just run your own, like you're mentioning,
just a
with
thicker
just a regular wire. Right.
Or you could extend that by soldering on to the end of that strap to your control panel.
Correct.
With probably like an 18 gauge wire. A 16 gauge or 14 gauge. Something kind of thick, but not too thick.
Right.
I'd say about a 14 gauge probably would be the best.
Sounds good. Okay. Whew. I'm tired already.
Yeah.
How many questions was that? We answered 2 or 3 there, right?
Already.
Yeah. So there we go. Well, guys, let's go ahead and get into some of the pre-prepared questions. And, of course, we will continue to answer your questions in the live chat as we move on through the show. But, Tim, the first one we have here is from Gus. And let me put it up here on the screen so everybody can see it. And Gus says, hi, guys. I really enjoy your videos and insight. I could use some help here. I have an original Pac-Man machine that has been converted to a 60-in-1. There's an adapter on the JAMA 61 board that plugs into the original Pac-Man harness and looks like it uses the original cabinet wiring. I've watched your videos on changing buttons and I thought I might like to put some LED push buttons in this game. When I looked under the control panel, there were a lot more wires than just an action wire and a ground going to buttons 1 and 2. These buttons do both start the game and act as fire and jump buttons. And Tim, we'll show a picture of that here in a second, kind of what he's talking about. The original leaf buttons have about 4 wires on each button. It looks like the 2 red wires are soldered together, a green wire, and 2 ground wires. Sorry I didn't take a picture. I'm having doubts about changing the buttons once I saw all the wiring there. Can you offer any advice on wiring and changing the buttons out? Also, if I change the wiring to new buttons, will each button still operate as the start and fire button? I know that a modern button only has a ground and a single action terminal, either normally open, normally closed. Is this more trouble than it's worth? Thanks, Gus. So, Tim, Gus has a Miss Pac-Man that's been converted to a 60-in-1, okay? And, of course, we did a video on a kit that used to be sold by JAMA boards, Tim, but now you can get the adapter from several different parts suppliers, okay? And so he's got this. He wants to put some LED buttons in there so they light up, but the problem is that he sees a lot more than just 2 wires in there.
Well, that's
he sees about 4
old school leaf switches in there,
Exactly.
right?
He's got some old school leaf switches in there.
Okay.
So, I mean, it sounds like he's got, let me see here if I can read this correctly. It sounds like he's got 4 wires. He's got 2 red wires soldered together, a green wire, and 2 ground wires. That's what he says. That's what he says. So, I mean, with 4 wires, that sounds a lot more than the 2 wires that we had before. So what do you think's going on here with this Pac-Man control panel? Why are there so many wires going to these buttons?
Well, it's because of the leaf switches and the way that they're jumpered to each other, and because it starts and does fire.
Right.
But so the last question he asked was, is more trouble than it's worth? I personally, if you like the LED look of the buttons and stuff,
sure.
I like the way the Leaf joystick button feels.
Right.
But on Miss Pac-Man, just starting the game, I don't really see that matters a whole lot.
Sure.
Now, a lot of people would argue and say that if you're firing, like on Gallagher or something, the Leaf switch, if you get it just right, will fire faster and stuff. And that may be the case. But just for starting the game, I don't see why converting and putting the LEDs in there would make any difference at all.
Sure.
The problem that he's going to have, and if you want to go ahead and show the picture, Jonathan, is that he can wire those two that are going together. The red wires they're the traditional ground wires that go to your power supply.
And Tim, this is a great instance of why we don't go by wire color.
Right.
Okay, because a lot of times when we see a red wire in something, what do we think?
You think it's voltage.
Exactly. We see it's voltage, but in a Miss Pac-Man case, it's actually ground.
Okay.
And you'll see that here if you look at and we have the picture here, you'll see that on this leaf switch, there's only 2 terminals, just like there is on a regular push button.
Exactly.
It's just that this red one is actually acting as the ground, and you'll see that it is the one that actually gets jumpered over, while there's a brown one and a black one that actually acts as the action buttons, right?
Right.
And then there's this extra little prong out here. If you look at the top of that, where the light switch wires go.
It's going over to his metal.
Right, it's going over to the metal
there,
thing,
yeah.
And all that is, as far as I understand, Tim, is just like what we call floor ground,
mm-hmm.
right? Exactly, something that actually goes back to like your ground pin on your power plug.
Right.
So, I mean, or it goes to a grounded spot in the cabinet. And so, let's go ahead and read this real quick. This is pretty common wiring for Miss Pac-Man buttons, as you can see, or Pac-Man buttons, as you can see from the picture. In this case, red wires represent the traditional ground that goes to your power supply. Green wires is an earth ground, which usually goes to the ground prong or your plug. Or, Tim, it may just go to like the AC filter. There, sometimes they'll put the screw down there on the AC filter, and you'll have a whole bunch of them there. And then, of course, the other one that you have is the action, and one of them's a brown one of them's a black one, depending on if it's a player 1-star, player 2-star. Now, Tim, the fire option is usually handled by the board itself. The board actually remaps those to also be fire as well as start 1 and 2.
Okay.
A lot of times, the little converter board.
Yes.
Okay. It actually does all the work. There's no additional wiring that you have to do in order to do that. But Tim, if you were going to swap this out for like an LED button, you would need to basically do the same kind of thing. You could use the red as the ground, and then you use the black or the brown as the switch part of that button.
Right. That would be your normally open.
Right.
Position.
Exactly. Normally open position, typically.
And the other one would be your common wire.
Correct. Exactly. And and then the green one, you could just put. You could just, if you don't even have to necessarily have that. I mean, like you said, that's more of like to keep you from getting shocked is what that's there for. And so to reduce the what is the word? To reduce to reduce getting shocked, basically.
Right.
Let's just put it like that. I'm not going to try to reword it. So anyway, typically you'd only have one other wire going to the button that would be for the action, player 1-star, for example. But you may have 2 if they're serving double duty as both fire and start, like you mentioned. It depends on how whoever did this conversion. It depends on how they did it. Some of the converter boards will automatically map the start buttons to fire, and sometimes the person who wired your cabinet will wire both those together. So it depends on what kind of converter board they're using, and then it also depends on how, if they wired it or if they're letting that take care of it by itself.
Yeah. Now the second part to this question is he's got to light up the LEDs.
Right. Correct.
Because they will need voltage in order to light. So he's going to have to run separate wiring. Now he could use the ground for one side of that light.
Right.
The other side of the lights, depending on what kind of LED, it's a 5 volt or a 12 volt,
right,
or which one it's closest to, he's going to have to run that down to his power supply so that will actually provide light.
Correct, and that's going to be DC voltage, Tim.
Yes.
So a lot of times when you have these converter boards, you have a switching power supply along with the original transformer, and so you will need to tap into either 12 or 5 volts on the switching power supply, Tim, in order to get it, right?
Correct.
So there you go. So it's not a difficult thing, but you're right in the fact that this does have more wires than just the traditional wires that you normally see.
Yeah.
Just really one other pair, though, or one other wire, and that's going to be that floor ground or earth ground, like we like to say. So that's really the only one. And like Tim mentioned, you can use that earth ground as the ground for your voltage for the LED.
Right.
And that's a great way to do it.
If there's a ground going all the way up there,
correct,
to it, and it's connected, then it should help you with your ground to light your light bulb.
In that case, the only thing you'd have to run would be a voltage wire.
Yes.
And that sounds awesome. So there you go. Any other comments or comments or suggestions here for Gus? Tim,
No,
before we move on.
I think he may be in the chat room. So.
Oh, okay. Well, Gus, if you're there, if you have any other questions about your question, let us know, and we'll be happy to address those at this time. But I think we'll move on here, Tim, at this point. So hopefully answers your question, Gus, and good luck putting those LED buttons in your Miss Pac-Man arcade machine. Okay, here we go, Tim. Now, somebody, Mr. Silverball Mania says, anyone good on Gottlieb System 3 boards out there? So, and that's a pinball, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm not a pinball guy. Do you know anybody who does Gottlieb System 3 repairs?
Oh, I'm sure there are plenty of them.
Now, we have a list of board repair guys on our website, Tim. Under the resources page, if you go to arcaderepairtips.com/resources, there's a board PCB repair and parts that you can look up. There's a little section there. And we have some guys listed there. Some of those guys do work on pinball boards, I know, Tim. Mm-hmm. So it just depends. And I know I've sent pinball boards to a couple of guys in the past when we've done repairs.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's been,
I can't
been
think
a while
of anybody
back.
off the top of my head.
Maybe somebody in the chat room will answer. We'll come back to you if we think of somebody.
Sounds good. So
nobody
yeah,
offhand.
And we may have to look it up, and we may have to, shoot you an email.
The last time I got a pinball board repair was probably about 5 years ago. So
there you
be honest.
So I wish we could be better help there, Mr. Silverball Mania. Hopefully we can find somebody maybe to help you out. If there's somebody in the chat who knows, or we'll do some research and shoot us an email. We'll see if we can get that information to you as well. Okay, Tim, let's move on to Chris. And Chris says, I have a 4-player NFL Blitz 2000 cabinet. I haven't played it in years, but it seems like the reason I stopped is that a few of the joysticks stopped working. I recently got to messing with it. It has sound but no picture. I am having a hard time trying to figure out what size fuse the power supply takes. I tried 120 volts, 1, 2, 3 amps, but they all blow. I put a 20 amp in, but I'm scared it is too big, but that's when I get sound but no picture. Any input, Chris? Okay, Tim, so we have Chris here. He's got a Blitz 2000 cabinet, okay,
right,
which is a newer style cabinet, uses a hard drive, things like that. And so he thinks he stopped playing it because the joystick stopped working, but now he's getting sound but no picture. But he only gets that when he puts a 20 amp fuse in.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe the good question here, Chris, is where's the 20 amp fuse? Where are you putting it?
Right. Is it in the bottom of the cabinet? Is it a part of the power supply itself? So we need a little bit more information, but just in general, a 20 amp fuse is really big for an arcade game.
Absolutely.
For your car, not so big.
Right.
I can think of like a kiddie ride at Chuck E. Cheese might have a 10 or a 12 amp fuse.
Sure.
Most games, most old, especially anything 2000 less or down, a lot of them are 5 amps or less.
Right.
A lot of mid-90s games go up to about 7 or 8 amp fuse. I hardly ever see any higher than that. So right. I doubt it's any higher than that. And I think you did a little research, Sean. You found that, what did you find in your research? Well, it only has a couple of fuses in there, right?
Exactly. So let's go ahead and bring this up here so you guys can see it. So, yes, the 20 amp fuse is probably a bit too big. Like you mentioned, Tim, there's not many games that use a 20 amp fuse. It's very rare. The question is, which fuse are you replacing? According to the manual for the game, Tim, the cabinet only uses 2 fuses, a 1 amp and a 3 amp. Now, that's not to say that couldn't be in the power supply, okay?
Right.
But that's as far as the game wiring goes. Those are the only 2 fuses that are mentioned in the manual. So, Tim, if you're putting in something higher than that, you may be having some feedback that's blowing those 1 amp, those 3 amp fuses.
Yeah, maybe so.
So you need to be careful with that. And they're both slow blow. Not that makes a difference, because a fast blow and a slow blow will typically both blow. It's just the amount of time it takes to get there.
Right.
Okay, so, but they're both slow blow just for,
And it probably is a good thing to mention. I mean, he knew enough to stop.
Right.
The guys did not just throw a bigger fuse in there.
Or a nail, or
right.
or wrap it in foil.
When I was really new at this, I saw a game, it had a blown fuse. I thought, oh great, it's only got a blown fuse, and I would just start sticking fuses in there until I try to get one that worked.
Right.
Now I've learned if I see a blown fuse, I start saying what caused this fuse to blow, and I'm very careful about unplugging everything and making sure until I find out what caused the fuse to blow. Now, sometimes it's random. We live here in Texas. We get a power surge. Sometimes you pop a fuse in, the game works. Hey, you're good. But I always try to find out what the manual says, not what was in there, because a lot of times we found that to be wrong. And by all means, don't use Wrigley's gum wrappers or,
or
something foil or something else like that. Don't bypass it. It's there for a reason. It's there to protect other areas. But usually a blown fuse is an indication that you have a problem somewhere else.
And you're exactly right, Tim. So let me put the slide back up here. And, like we said, the main question is, where is this fuse located? Is it inside the power supply? Is it the bottom of the cabinet? Or is it in the monitor chassis? Where are we getting this fuse at? The fact that you're getting sound and no picture, pretty good indication, Tim, that the game is playing blind. Okay, very, very common symptom we see a lot. This usually indicates that there's a problem with the monitor chassis. Please see our post on Troubleshooting Games That Are Playing Blind for more information on the symptom. Now, Tim, it could be that his monitor is giving some feedback to those fuses there in the bottom of the cabinet, which is causing them to blow. Okay, which may be indicating what the problem is actually on the monitor chassis, not necessarily in the game itself. Could have a wiring short somewhere. So tracking down problems like this, Tim, can sometimes be kind of time consuming because you really have to just kind of go piece by piece to see where it is. So like one thing we always do, Tim, a lot of times we'll put the fuse in and we'll unplug the monitor.
Right.
Did the fuse blow? Okay,
exactly.
If it didn't blow, we'll plug the monitor back in. Did the fuse blow? Yes. Okay. Well, the problem's in the monitor somewhere. Or we'll unplug. We'll
unplug the game board.
Yeah, we'll unplug the game board. Okay, is the game board? Did the fuse blow at the game board? No. Okay, or did it blow at the game board? Whatever the case may be. So we go piece by piece trying to unplug. We look for frayed wires, Tim, anywhere in the cabinet because any frayed wire that's being grounded by a piece of metal can cause shorts like this as well. Tim, anything else here for Chris before we move on?
No, I think we can move on. But just the other day we had a kiddie rod that was blowing a fuse, and a lot of times if the motor is seizing up, that will blow the fuse. I got in there and the motor was turning just fine. I looked but there's a capacitor on the outside of the motor and a token had got down in there.
There you go.
And it was causing it to blow. So it was quite an easy fix, but kind of hard to find.
Right.
But the same way, I've unplugging the monitor to the game, turned nothing but on, blue, right away. So, it wasn't the monitor. To unplug the main board, turned it on, didn't take, but as soon as the game started up, it blew the fuse. So I was like, something's going on here.
And like you mentioned, Tim, the fuses are there to protect,
okay,
the parts. If you put a higher amp fuse in there, it could fry some parts.
Right.
Because now it's getting voltage it was not expecting to those areas.
That's why always in your arcade repair tip toolbox or on your test bench, you need to have plenty of fuses, especially those 5 amps, 3 amps, 1 amp, 2 amps, and 1 amp.
Slow
you need
blows,
to have you a good
blows.
Fuse kit with at least 10 of each one so that you can do some troubleshooting when it blows fuses like that.
Sounds good. So, Chris, thank you for your question, and good luck getting that NFL Blitz 2000 back up and running. And if you have any additional questions, please let us know, and we'll try to help you out further. Now, Tim, it looks like we have some questions in the chat here. YouTube Punk says, have you guys seen Todd Tuckey is releasing 10-volume series of books, like a 10-volume series of books? Did you see that?
I did.
He signed
see
a
that.
book deal.
I did see that he signed a book deal. That ought to be really interesting. Todd's a really funny guy anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've never really read any of his writings, but I can imagine they're going to be very entertaining. I love his stories and stuff, so that does sound like that'll be fun.
And then we also have YouTube Punk at pinballbuzz.com. I think he was trying to relay to Mr. Silverball.
Somebody that's good at Gottlieb 3 boards, there you go.
And if we get a break here, Tim, I may look up the last guy I used.
Okay.
I think the last guy I used was in Missouri. So I'll look it up, though, and just see. But anyway, Tim, let us continue on, shall we? And the next question we have is from Tessica. And Tessica says, we were given an Arcade Legends game machine by a friend.
Wow,
Tim,
pretty good friend.
Given, yeah, that's always good. He thought a battery may be the problem. Now, obviously, this machine was not working.
Right.
Okay, I'm inserting my notes as we go.
Okay.
The machine was not working, so he changed out the battery. And we are still getting a blue or bouncing screen depending on the knobs my husband moves. Is there something else I should look at switching out? Now, Tim, I put this here. I put the star here myself. That, and this goes for computers too. If you change out the BIOS battery, you may need to reset the BIOS settings.
Right.
So a lot of times you will replace the battery and a little message will come up saying like press F1 or F2 to reset the settings.
Right.
So just because you insert a new battery into a computer-based motherboard does not necessarily mean that it fixes the issue. You may need to actually do a setting reset in order to get it back. So, I mean, and a lot of times with these, all you have to do is hook up a monitor monitor to it, like a regular VGA monitor, and then, you know, when the message comes up on the screen, and a keyboard, of course, when the message comes up on the screen, hit the appropriate key on the keyboard. Now, Tim, with that said, there are some other things that we can try here with Tesco's problem, right? It could be other things besides just that BIOS battery and resetting.
That is a common. We've worked on that before, and that is a common problem because people don't change their batteries and don't think about it.
Exactly.
And then when it dies, it won't power up.
Well, and here's the thing: if you haven't played a PC-based game in a while, that battery will die.
Oh yeah.
Okay, now it charges it as long as the game is on. It will recharge that battery, but it will not. I mean, it will not hold a charge forever. So if you haven't played it in 1-2 years, that battery goes dead. Those BIOS settings are gone.
Right.
So.
But here's some other things that you can check. It does have an I/O board. You need to. You can check it by plugging it into a computer monitor, like you said, to see if it's coming up, if it's booting up. The power supply, they die without play.
Absolutely.
You can check those voltages with the multimeter. And then it could be just a board or a hard drive issue because they do have those in there also. Yes, so that could be something that could, any of those things could fail. But we always start at power. And we really do suspect that it could be your computer is dying. See if you got power going into the PC, but no picture or no lights or nothing coming out, then you'll know it's probably in that PC.
Right. So we actually broke this down here, Tim, into 3 different things from this. So the I/O board, input-output board. Now, Tim, this would be the equivalent of a JPAC for those who would be familiar with that kind of thing. Basically, it is the interface board between the computer and the controls.
Right.
Okay. So, and it also does video. I think it does video frequency as well.
And it probably lights up or something too, or has a light indicator that it's working or not.
So you should find the place to plug in your computer monitor on that I/O board, and you can hook one up and turn it on. Okay. If nothing comes up on that I/O board when you hook up a VGA monitor and turn it on, it's probably bad. Okay, I mean, and like I said, this thing's kind of the equivalent of a JPAC. If you guys are familiar with Ultimark and their stuff, it has like the input outputs for the control panel, but it also has a VGA adapter on it as well that does the signal, the frequency stuff. And so, yeah, you definitely want to make sure that you can plug a computer monitor in there. If you don't get anything, then more than likely you may have a bad I/O board. Tim mentioned power supply. Voltages, of course. If your voltage is low, you can get this symptom as well, Tim. Low voltages play into this, and so make sure that you check it with the multimeter and make sure everything's going good. Tim, these use an ATX-style power supply, so make sure that the exhaust fan is running.
Right.
Because a lot of times, whenever those fans stop running in the power supply,
they overheat.
They overheat and they die. And so it's very common. So if your exhaust fan is not running when you open it up, more than likely, you have a dead power supply. So something to keep in mind. And then Tim mentioned board and hard drive. You can obtain the restore disk. Okay, they may be in the cabinet, but I believe Chicago Gaming will sell you some.
Oh, nice.
It may be an arm and a leg, but they will sell you some, and you can try to do a restore on it. You may need to replace the hard drive, like you mentioned, Tim, because this is a hard drive-based game. You may have to replace the hard drive to get it up and running. Tim, these Arcade Legends cabinets, of course, very popular with home buyers, for their game rooms and things, made by Chicago Gaming Company. So if you have any additional questions, you can contact Chicago Gaming Company, but Tim, the repairs are very expensive.
Okay,
and
that's something you probably can send it in for repair too, but
like
I said, I would expect to pay see, as an operator, it's not a real expensive repair, but as a person, you're not going to get that money back.
Exactly.
So, we spend that money all the time because we want to get that game up and running.
When you have a game that's making $100, $200 a week, what's a $500 investment,
right?
$600 investment, or even $1,000 investment?
Yeah, it's going to make it back in no time.
Exactly. So I mean, that's something to keep in mind. But when you're a home user and you just have it in your game room, $1,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so,
a lot of people don't do this, John, but you can always negotiate.
Oh yeah.
They tell you it's $500. Tell them, well, I'll give you $250.
Right.
Or $300 or $200.
Right.
All the worst they can do is say no.
Right.
But a lot of them need the business, and they understand. Look, I'm not for profit. This is for my house. I don't want to pay $500. I would always try to negotiate those prices.
And a lot of times, they'll quote you, Tim, for advanced replacement, right?
Right.
Where it's like you send your computer to them, and then they send you another one. There may be a different price for a repair.
Right. Okay? If you send it in and you're not in a hurry and they fix it in their time, and I would tell them that, look, this doesn't have to be fixed tomorrow. Sometime in the next month would be good. if you guys will cut me a deal, and that's what they need to hear because they're a lot of times under the gun to get these back up and fixed.
Right, and that's why they do advanced replacement. They already have PCs that are ready to go. They'll ship you that. It's easier for them to ship you that and then receive yours in because the repair time, by the time they get yours, fix it and then ship it back, there's a lot more time involved. But if you're not in a hurry for it, like Tim mentioned, you may be able to save some money just doing a repair instead of the advanced replacement.
Correct.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else for Teska, Tim, here on the Arcade Legends
good luck
machine?
with that. Let us know what happened with it.
Sounds good. So, Teska, hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting that Arcade Legends machine back up and running. Tim, it's always good to get a free game.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it's not running.
That's right.
So
we'll take them all day long.
Exactly. So, your friend definitely hooked you up. You need to thank him a couple of times for that, I say. So,
I think so.
Okay, YouTube Punk said that website was for Todd's book.
Okay.
So, not for pinball repair. Sorry, Mr. Silverball Mania about that. So, but anyway. Okay, Tim, should we move on here? I don't see anything else in the live chat. Remember, guys, you guys can send us comments, questions, suggestions. We'll take questions on anything.
Sure.
So, what do you want to take questions on tonight?
I don't know. Whatever they're in the mood
Anything
for.
but politics?
The weather.
The weather.
We'll talk about politics, but we may lose some viewers either way.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
we try to stay out of politics.
That's right. We'll stay out of that.
We might get into some gaming politics, though.
Oh, there you go. We can definitely
do that.
Yeah, that's I think we do that quite well. We do have an arcade debate segment coming up here in a little bit, so stay tuned for that, right, Tim?
Right.
And I think this is a pretty good argument. And Tim, we already have one set up for next month too.
I think we'll like that one too.
I don't want to get spoil. No, we won't spoil it. You guys will just have to tune in. It'll be great. But anyway, let us continue on here with Doug. Tim, the next question on the list here. Doug says, I have been troubleshooting my old Ms. Pac-Man arcade game. It worked about 2 years ago. I checked all the fuses and they look fine. It powers up and plays sound but does not have picture. Included are 2 pictures that show some disconnected wires I have found. Do you know if that could be the problem? I have held the yellow wire with pliers on the metal piece that it's pointing to, but it still did not get a picture. In the second picture, I do not see what that would be connected to, as there's no female piece that's missing a connector. Okay, now Tim, that's not the end of the email, but I wanted to go ahead and show Doug's pictures real quick.
Okay.
So the first one he's talking about is the yellow strap, and Tim, we actually talked about this earlier.
Yes, we did.
So we'll talk about that, and then the other part is this 3-prong connector, Tim.
Yes.
And we'll come back to these pictures so people can see them, but let me finish up Doug's question here. Doug says, does having sound mean my PCB is good? Also, if I replace the monitor, would that fix my issue? Any help is appreciated. I appreciate your time in this matter. Thanks, Doug. Okay, so Tim, we've got basically 2 questions here. So does having sound mean that my PCB board is good? Now, PCB, of course, board being redundant, but PCB doesn't mean that my PCB is good.
I would say it means the chances are good.
Right.
But not we can't say with 100%.
Sure.
Because you could have a video output problem with your board.
Sure.
But as long as it's playing and you hear it, what we call playing blind, chances are it's not your board.
So what would you gauge those chances at it being a monitor versus a board issue?
Say
85-15?
Yeah, about 85-15,
so
maybe
85% monitor,
90-15.
yeah, 85% monitor issue, 15% chance
if
board
it's
issue.
playing completely blind, you hear all the sounds, it moves, or,
it moves when you move.
It feels okay, and you can hear stuff. You can hit a power pellet or something without getting killed and then getting killed. So I would say that's just a rough estimate. Most of the time your board is good if you're hearing it play okay, because a lot of times when boards are having issues, they also have some sound issues going on too.
Right.
But not necessarily. So we don't want to say with 100% certainty, but most of the time it means your board is probably good.
Now,
you're not getting a screen at all.
Right. So his second question is, if he replaced the monitor, would that fix the issue? With keeping in mind, I guess, the 85-15, I would suppose that'd be yes, right?
Yeah, probably so. More than likely. Again, it won't fix every issue, but most of the time it will fix that issue.
Right. So, Tim, I actually didn't put the picture here, but we'll go ahead and read this real quick. From the pictures, it doesn't look like either of the disconnected wires is causing the no picture issue.
Right.
Okay, the yellow strap is used to ground items in the cabinet to the ground prong on the power plug, earth ground as we call it, and usually does not affect operation. The other connector looks like it's going to the marquee light, Tim.
Yes.
And here, Tim, I'm going to actually scroll back through here so you guys can see that. This one, you'll see where that wire trail, second picture, is going up towards the top of the cabinet.
It's not coming from his monitor.
Correct.
It's coming from way up top.
Correct. So we can pretty safely assume, Tim, that it's got to be something up there. Now, it could be that it could have been the connector for his power switch. but it doesn't necessarily look like that. It looks more like it's probably for a marquee light. It's probably for something, though, in the upper part of the cabinet, which is typily either a power switch or marquee light.
To make sure he should run and make sure he's getting voltage to his monitors. There should be a connector to his monitor.
Right.
He should be getting 120 to it, AC voltage. Make sure that you are getting a power to your monitor. Then we can say that, probably a monitor, that probably goes, follow the wires, they go somewhere.
That's exactly right. Let me read the rest of this here, Tim. If your game is getting sound but no picture, there's a good chance that your PCB is good, like Tim mentioned, about 8515. We call this a playing blind issue, which usually indicates the problem with your monitor. So yes, if you replace the monitor, it could fix the issue, very likely could fix the issue. Also, check out our post on troubleshooting games that are playing blind. Tim, we talked about that earlier tonight for more information on how to repair your current monitor. Tim, is there anything else here for Doug that you want to throw in there besides that?
No, I think we covered that one pretty good. But Doug, of course, if you have any more questions, feel free to let us know, or when you fix it, let us know that you did fix it and what exactly the problem was.
Sounds good. So Doug, hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting that Miss Pac-Man back up and running. Again, Tim, very well could be a monitor issue, playing blind issue, so replacing the monitor very likely could fix it, or repairing it, Tim, like we talk about in our post on troubleshooting games that are playing blind. So we'll leave it there, and please hit us back if you have any additional questions about your issue. Okay, Tim, we got some questions here, just like random questions. Dan says, do y'all play Fortnite? The new Battle Royale games the kids play these days. I have a Switch, and I have Fortnite on it, but I have not played it. Okay, so, I do have it on the Switch.
I have played it on the Xbox One with my son.
Look at that.
I am horrible.
Well, we're not really first-person shooter guys. I'm going to admit that up front. I will say this. I'm a PC guy when it comes to that anyway, typically. I don't play well with the sticks.
But I will say this much. You guys know I like to do some investing and stuff. I told my kid, if you ever find another game that every kid you know plays as much as they play that game, let me know so I can invest in them. I should have bought into the Chinese company that owns Fortnite.
Oh, is it a Chinese company?
Yes.
I didn't realize that.
I want to say something like, maybe somebody can correct me here, Ren-Chin or something in it. Anyway, they're rich. It's a very expensive stock right now. But anyway, every kid that his age, every teenager, and a lot of young people play it. And I do enjoy watching him play.
Right.
And there are some things about it. I see why he likes it. So a lot of times he'll say, he doesn't say, come play with me anymore. He'll say, come watch me play. So I'll kind of chill on the bed and watch him. But it's a pretty interesting game. And I like the concept. It is a great game, how they play and how your field is narrowing down. And so is the play field, shrinking too. Right. So you can't just hide forever or something.
That's a great concept for a game, for sure.
So I think a lot of new games will pattern themselves after that a lot.
I think so.
And they keep it fresh. They keep coming up with new stuff. And I tried the phone version too. I was like, no, I don't see how Switch it would be hard to play. It'd be even harder for me to play on those.
Right, on the phone I understand. The Switch has actual analog controls. So it's not as bad. But
to answer the question, have played it, yes. Cannot play it, no. I'm not very good, but my son loves it.
What's the newest game that you've played?
The newest
game. I'm curious.
Probably NBA 2K.
NBA 2K. Okay, that's a good game. So for me, I've played Super Mario Odyssey. I've got a Switch, so it's Odyssey, Mario Kart, and I just got Mario Tennis Aces.
Right.
So those are like the three. Now, I do have an Xbox One, and I played Tekken 7. I play a lot of fighting games and driving games.
If you
not a whole lot of first-person shooters.
You don't count work games like Cruise and Blast.
Right, exactly.
Plants vs. Zombies.
No, consoles.
That's consoles. That's about it.
Okay, there you go. Let's see. Mr. Silverball Mania says, I am enjoying this as I have a homemade ice cream and fresh black raspberries munching away.
Man, that sounds like 4th of July food right there.
Can you just hand that through the screen real quick? We would love a little bit of that. So, Mr. Silverball Mania, enjoy that ice cream. Take a bite for me and Tim. So, there you go. YouTube Punk says, have you guys seen the Switch Flip case? Have you seen that?
Yes.
It's for the Switch. It moves it vertically so you can play the game.
Yes.
Looks awesome. I'm probably gonna
haven't seen.
I think it's less than $20.
Wow.
So I'm gonna have to get that for my Switch so I can play some of the games. I do have some of the Arcade Classics games.
That's pretty cool. So you can rotate your monitor.
Exactly. Basically, rotate your monitor is a great way to put it. All so, right. A lot of people refer to it as tate mode. Of course, we call it like vertical and horizontal orientation is the way we've always said. And to me, that's better than tate mode. I don't know. But you see, I have a computer monitor over here in Tate mode, Tim, and that's for an upcoming video. We're not going to spoil anything.
All right, we're
Teaser,
not spoiling.
right?
I just was looking at it like this.
So let's see what else we have. Crowdfunding grip to hold your Switch vertically. Yes. Already funded flip grip. Yes. And if you have a Switch and you like old games, Tim, I don't know how you could go wrong with that.
Nope.
So it sounds great. But anyway, any other questions? We're always here to field. Like I said, it doesn't have to be arcade related, right?
Nope, doesn't have to be.
That's right. So there you go. So let's continue on
like
here.
the Fortnite question.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
That is a...
Who's not fit? I feel like everybody's playing it.
I do too.
I listened to a sports talk show, and the guy on there is playing it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, and he's never played video games in forever.
NBA players, a stock
players.
A stock I was watching was going up because NBA players were on there talking about Fortnite and playing 2K.
So there you go.
And it was going up. So
anyway, we'll talk about Tim's stocks in the after show if you guys are interested in some stock tips from Tim, right?
Yes.
And to find out how our $10 is doing now.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. So always like teases.
Right.
So there you go. Okay, let's continue on here with the questions. And the next one we have here is from David. And David says, "Hi, I have a 60-in-1 board that works fine with a VGA LCD monitor, but if I connect it to a CGA monitor, it just displays banded color lines. I have switched the jumper on the card as indicated by the instructions, but still no results." So Tim, this is actually backwards of what a lot of people do. It seems like we see a lot of 15 kilohertz CGA type stuff going to VGA.
Right.
And not VGA to CGA.
So
right,
he's
exactly.
Going kind of backwards.
Right.
In
but
a way, but that's
the one thing he did that we always recommend is making sure you flip the dip switch.
Right.
He says the little jumper. The dip switch is what we're talking about. Okay. That is obviously one thing you need to do. There is a dip switch on the 60-in-1 that controls either CGA or VGA orientation and resolution. So you need to make sure you have it in the right mode. Tim, it does sound like he's got it in the right mode.
Yes.
So to me, that leads us to think maybe it's a wiring issue, correct?
Right. He does. One thing he doesn't tell us is what kind of monitor he has, because different monitors require different wiring.
Exactly.
Or different sync settings and
Correct.
stuff. So I think if you want to go ahead and show the screen, John, that's what we talk about here.
Oh, and you see there's a blank screen for you guys. Sorry about that. Wrong button.
Yeah, we want to say make sure that you have a CGA monitor hooked up correctly. In other words, make sure that if it's composite sync that it uses, or the horizontal vertical syncs.
Right.
If a lot of them, if you're not sure, you can composite them and make it okay.
Exactly.
But if it's a horizontal or vertical sync pins, make sure that that's wired up correctly.
So let's talk about that for a second. So if you look at a Wells Garner monitor like a K7000, Tim, a lot of times you'll see two sets of sync wires. You'll see two horizontals and a pair of horizontal and vertical and another pair of horizontal and vertical.
Yes.
One pair is for positive and one pair is for negative. Most JAMA boards, though, Tim, use negative.
Okay.
And that's usually the ones that are separated from the main connector. Unless it just depends on the monitor. But I mean, talking about like a K7000, for instance, that would be the case. And so you need to remember that you have a JAMA board, and JAMA boards use composite negative sync, which means that it combines the horizontal and vertical into one sync wire.
Right.
Okay, so if you have a horizontal and vertical negative sync on your monitor chassis, you need to separate your composite and split one off to each pin. Okay. Some monitors have dual, but they have a where one pin will take the composite by itself. And if that's the case, you just need to take that one wire to that one wire.
Correct.
But Tim, we've had problems in the past where people have tried to hook up composite negative sync or horizontal vertical negative sync to positive sync on the chassis.
Yeah, it won't work.
Won't work. Okay, totally different sync. Right, exactly. I mean, you have to make sure that the negative composite sync, most JAMA boards, Tim, vast majority of JAMA boards, negative composite sync. So make sure that you're hooking it up there. Like we said, some monitors will take both positive and negative sync. So make sure you have your sync wires going to the correct input pins on the monitor chassis. Consult the monitor manual for the input pin outs.
So, yeah, if everything we're saying sounds great to you, you need to figure out what monitor you have.
Correct.
And then look at the pin outs to it to see where that sync wire is.
Exactly.
And you won't hurt by just playing around with them a little bit, but you'll figure it out. I think
you'll figure it out because it'll work.
Right.
Exactly.
It'll help and it'll work.
Right.
And come in picture a lot better.
And another thing, Tim, is a lot of times if we're having sync issues, we may need to adjust our B+ voltage.
Sometimes.
Or we may need to adjust our hold. Or some monitors actually have a sync adjustment. So just because you're getting like these like weird color bands on your picture, it may just need to be adjusted out as well. So be careful with that. Tim, anything else for David here before we move on?
No, I hope that we didn't go too far or get David more confused. So David, if you have more questions, be sure and ask. I think most people knew what we're talking about, But a lot of new people don't quite understand. So, David, you're more than welcome to write back if you need to.
And Tim, we actually discued that when we talk about, there was the video that we did, Tim, on replacing an arcade monitor.
Okay,
we talk
that'd
about
be a great
separating
video
the
to
sink
watch.
or
We show
combining
it.
the sink. Right. We actually show separating the sink, I believe.
Yes.
Because we had a composite sink. The monitor we were working with had a horizontal and vertical sink that it needed, and so we split the sinks. Sometimes you have to do that. So, but see our video on adjusting an arcade monitor for a little bit more information. Or not adjusting, excuse me, Tim. Replacing an arcade monitor for more additional information. So.
Yeah, because we replaced it, it didn't work.
Exactly. We had to split the sinks. Exactly. So it happens. Tim, Mr. Silverball Mania says all gone. I am assuming the ice cream.
Oh, man.
We missed out.
We did.
Can you dry ice pack that?
Yeah.
Make it
ship it UPS.
Exactly, and just make us some more and just send it on, right?
UPS will deliver.
There you go, dry ice packed?
Yeah, they
do
all the time.
Cheesecake Factory, right?
Yeah,
Cheesecake
we get
Factory.
Dippin' Dots.
Dippin' Dots,
My son bought a lizard one time, they brought it.
Oh my goodness.
So, ice cream, lizards.
Is there anything they won't deliver?
I don't know. A bomb.
A bomb, well, yeah. And lithium batteries have to be like labeled, you know.
Oh yeah,
that's
a big deal
now.
now.
So exactly. So
especially if you're flying, watch out for that lithium battery.
Oh, I know. You have
drill.
Exactly. Oh yeah. You know, you pretty much can't take anything bigger than about a phone as far as lithium batteries go on the plane now.
Yeah, it's kind of gotten crazy.
Yeah, well, and it's because if you supply enough voltage to it, you know, you can.
I guess so.
Homemade. So anyway, off topic completely. Let us continue on here, Tim, to Steve, and we'll continue on here. He says, "Hello, I picked up a Miss Pac-Man, and it has a ghosting issue about halfway down the screen to the bottom. I am waiting on my degausser to arrive on Friday, but I wanted a second opinion. I was wondering if this is a cap problem or degaussing problem. I will attach a couple of screen pics as well. I just opened up an 80s themed pinball and video arcade, and this is my latest acquisition. Thanks in advance, Steve." So, Tim, we have the pictures here. Okay. So, you'll see, these pictures kind of tell a story, but the one on the right, I think, is the one that really gives it away. You will notice that the upper part of that is fine.
Yeah, you can read the words high score pretty good.
Right, and even the Miss Pac-Man there. But when we get below there, it looks like there's a little bit of, like, almost draw on the graphics, like they're bleeding. Yeah. Almost like we have the brightness turned up too high. But here's the deal, Tim. We know we don't have the brightness turned up too high because the stuff at the top is okay.
Right.
And so, what do you think is happening here with Steve's Miss Pac-Man? Why are we getting these weird, like, bleeding type graphics?
Well, he can try to degauss. It's not a bad place to start.
Right.
But more than likely, it's something in his board that's doing that. If part of the screen is good. Remember, we always say that when a cap fails, it usually is a vertical line or something, or everything will be, or one side will do something.
It'll be very specific.
Yeah, and it's usually on a Pac-Man.
And it'll be well, I say consistent. It will be consistent across the screen.
Right, whether this way or this way,
vertically or horizontally. Right, exactly.
So, I mean, I'm not saying that I couldn't use a cap kit and things like that, but go ahead and try to degauss it. But you should check in and you adjust your screen settings and all that. But more than likely, you're looking at something's going on with his board.
Right, and so let's go ahead and throw up the slide here, Tim. At first glance, Tim, like you mentioned, this seems like it would be a monitor issue, but there's a good chance that it could be a problem with the board. The fact that the high score and the Miss Pac-Man headers are not ghosting or bleeding could mean that it's an issue with the board rather than the monitor, okay? So, sorry, you see, there's my grammar in there.
Yes,
sorry, Tim, I tried my best. With that said, let's try to adjust and degauss the monitor first to see if that helps the issue. If not, let's take a look at the board. And Tim, the chips in positions 3A, 3B, 2C, and 4A, all the stuff in that and on those 4 chips a lot of times play into how that title screen looks.
Okay.
And so we probably need to look at those chips and make sure that there's no pins that aren't making a good connection, that all the solder joints are good, that the pins themselves are making a good connection to the socket, all that kind of stuff.
I'm also curious, is it like this on the rest of the screens?
Yeah, that'd be a good question. So, like, are we still getting that kind of ghosting, bleeding when we're on the maze screens, for instance, right? And I'm with you there. But the fact that we don't have it consistently across the screen, like I said, I think that really lends us to a board issue in this particular case. Tim, is there anything else that you have here for Steve that may help him out?
No, I don't think so, because we're pretty much are in agreement that it could be this. We're not 100% sure, but it does tend to, because you got a pretty picture here and it's kind of going a little bleeding down at the bottom. I mean, some adjustments might help a little bit. Normally, though, like you said, if it's an adjustment issue, it'll be more more.
I mean, there's a chance you
everywhere.
could have.
You could do a little bit of yoke. Maybe.
Right, exactly. I was about to say yoke and convergence may have a little bit to do with that.
I think it could have. That's why we said try to degauss it and see if that helps.
So try to degauss. You can try to adjust the yoke, convergence rings to see if that helps as well. But Tim, I mean, it just really looks like something that, I mean, because like with convergence, a lot of times you will have an issue with like the center out. You know what I'm saying? Like, there'll be a convergence issue with, like, the middle of it, the picture, and not with the outside, or with the outside and not in the middle. The way that this kind of cuts across the screen, it's like the top quarter is fine, but the bottom 3/4 is mixed up.
Yeah,
that's different, exactly. It's just a little bit different than what we're used to seeing. And so I think in this particular case, I'm really leaning board issue, I guess, me. But I'm not saying don't try to degauss, don't try convergence rings, don't try cap kits, but it really looks like a board issue to me.
Be interested to know the answer to this one for ourselves.
Exactly.
But our best guess is that.
There you go. So hopefully Steve answers your question. If you have any additional information or questions about what we've talked about, please let us know and we'll try to help you out further. Tim said, did Steve leave a plug for his barcade trademark? So I know he did not
even call it that.
Actually, he did in the original email, but I took it out.
Oh,
so
okay.
hang on, I can look it up if you guys. You have to be patient. We'll have to do it later. So he did leave a plug in there for his arcade, but I cannot remember what it is. Tim, if you want to talk for a second, I can probably find it.
Okay. You want to go ahead and I'll read the next question?
Oh, do we have another question? Hang on. No. Oh, hey, perfect. You
Okay.
can look that up while I do this. Guys, that's all of the questions for this episode. So, Tim, it's time for Tim's Tech Tip.
Yes.
Yes.
We need like Tim Tech Tip music or something.
You need music?
Yeah, it's like an intro. Is it?
I don't know if I have. I have the only music I have here is the Arcade Repair Tips rap.
Okay. Oh, what? No, it's all right.
Okay. No,
we're good.
Okay,
we'll just go straight to the Tech Tip. You'll all be a lot better off.
There you go. So Tim, let's see. I have the Tech Tip here. I'm going to throw it up on the screen for everybody. But basically, it says use JB Weld steel stick to patch fiberglass. And Tim, you mentioned this in a previous episode.
Yeah, we said that we would show this or talk about it. And so I want to present that as a tech tip this week because I know we don't talk as much about cosmetic issues, but I do a lot of cosmetic repairs, especially at Chuck E. Cheese.
Sure.
One of the things that we do is we try to make every game look like brand new. A lot of people are shocked when they see some of our games are actually 5, 6, 8, 10 years old and they still look good. Well, that's not by accident. We keep a lot of touch-up paint, a lot of things. Well, this is something that you can use to touch up areas with, and I'm going to show how I did it on a kiddie ride, which was a fiberglass shell, but it could be used on a lot of areas, and specifically if you had just a piece missing out of your game on the side, where a lot of times we've used Bondo and stuff in the past. I wanted to show you guys how easy this stuff was to use and actually how well it worked.
Now, Tim, I went ahead and looked it up, and I don't know where you got yours from, but I noticed it was available on Amazon for around $5. Is that about what you paid for it?
Yeah, I think it was about that. I bought mine at Grainger because I get free shipping with them. I don't remember seeing it at Lowe's or Home Depot, but I did. I ordered mine through Grainger, and I know you could get it off of Amazon. I'm sure pretty cheap. Most everybody has an Amazon account by now.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, for $5, Tim, I mean, if you've got Prime, that's pretty quick. So
that's what it looks like. It comes in a tube, and it's gray. And it actually is it says on there, steel reinforced epoxy putty. Okay, so we'll go ahead and show the pictures.
Next slide here. Okay, so now, Tim, I kind of broke them up from what you sent me. So
that's all right.
What's the first picture here that we're looking at?
That first picture is that tube. After you pull it out, it looks like a fruit roll-up. And I'm unpeeling that plastic wrapper, and inside of that is what looks like a big Tootsie Roll kind of. It is dark gray.
I assume you don't want to eat
black.
it, though.
No, you don't want to eat that. It smells really strong.
Okay.
And I pinched off some in my hand, and there in the third picture there you see me squeezing it. I'm actually just kind of like you would do putty in your hand. I'm mixing it. And what's happening there is making a chemical reaction. And so that is all mixing together. And as you mix it, it starts getting a little tougher, a little tougher, a little tougher. So you just have a couple minutes here to do your repair. If you want to go ahead and show the next slide, I'll show.
So you take it out of the package and you just start kind of
working
massaging
it in your hand. Massaging. Okay. That's a great word for it.
Okay, and then after that, So we had the before here. Tim, what game is this that you're using it on?
That is a little kiddie ride. We call it the mini submarine. It looks like a little submarine, and it basically just a kiddie ride. They ride back and forth.
Okay.
But somehow, and who knows what in the world hit that. That's a pretty good sized little hole, about a 1/4 inch deep, and it's probably about 3/4 of an inch to an inch long, and about a 1/2 inch wide. So all I did was just push the putty down into there. And what's neat about this and different from Bondo, and guys that have seen us do Bondo repair before, Bondo works great.
Yeah, I'm going to bring it back to us.
And I love it. But Bondo also is a really messy process. Like when you get through, you have to sand it and stuff. What's great about this is I didn't hurt any area or surface on the other side. I just pushed it in there, and then I just took a towel and wiped it smooth until where only the parts that were broken are now filled in. Let that set overnight, and you can touch up and paint that. I didn't actually take a picture of the finished product.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. I wanted to really see
I'll
it.
have to update maybe that next month to see, but I just wanted you to see how quickly and easily that filled. It's like a putty, just fills that in, and then what's really great, you just wipe off the excess, and that stayed in, but everything else wiped right off.
So did you take a towel or a razor
like
blade?
Like a wet rag.
Wet rag?
I went over it, I think, with a putty knife just to really get it in there good, kind of pushing it in there. And then I just took a wet towel, well, when I say towel, I mean like a terry cloth-like towel.
Sure.
And I just wiped it clean, and everything stayed there. And it actually looks decent just from that, better than a hole. But then it's real easy to come back the next day. It gets really hard, and then you can paint over that.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I'd love to see a picture of the finished product. So whenever you get it done, or I know you have it done, take a picture of it, let us see it, because I want to see how it came out for sure. Okay. But it looks pretty good, and it's only $5. We have a link below, guys, if you want to buy it from Amazon.
I'd say it's really great for those little areas like that. If you've got something that you need to paint in, and Bondo works just as fine too. But Bondo, to me, you have to mix this and mix that. This, you just kind of put it in your hand real quick. Put your thumb down in there. Wipe it off. I mean, literally, I did that in 1 minute or less.
Wow.
So that was from before to after. It took about a minute.
Awesome.
Total.
So there you go. It works. JB Weld Steel Stick.
Yeah, just something for you to try. I know some of you guys really like the paint and cosmetic issues. Or even if you did that under a decal, then the decal would go across that smooth, and you wouldn't have that indenture or a hole or a bubble.
There you go. So thank you, Tim, for that tech tip. We definitely want to see a finished product, though, so take a picture next time you're at Chuck E. Cheese. Want to definitely see how it came out. So.
Alrighty.
Now, one thing I want to say real quick here, Tim, we got a couple updates. So, Steve, a lot of people were wondering what Steve's arcade was. FireballArcade.com.
Fireball Arcade.
FireballArcade.com.
Cool.
And it goes to his Facebook page. So you guys can see Steve's Facebook page there for FireballArcade.com.
Okay.
So there you
check out Fireball Arcade.
Yeah, Fireball Arcade. And Tim, we can go to it real quick if you want to see
Where's it at?
Let's see real quick. I am not sure. You see, I'm doing it here. It's in Front Royal, Virginia.
Okay.
So if you're in the Virginia area, Front Royal, Virginia, Tim. It is an arcade there. And it looks like it's got 4.9 stars.
Yeah.
So there you go. But hopefully Steve can get that Miss Pac-Man, was it Miss Pac-Man, right? Miss Pac-Man back up and running. That's the good stuff. Now, Tim, Mr. Silverball Mania earlier asked us who was a good guy for repair. So the last guy I used for repair was Rob from LockWinLit.com.
LockWinLit.
LockWinLit.com.
Okay.
So you guys can check out his page there. And Tim, I used Rob. He assembled the boards. He sent back to me, and they look great.
Okay.
He did a fantastic job. So I can't say enough good things about Rob.
Awesome.
He was fast about it and did exactly what I asked with no problems.
Okay.
He loved that.
Yeah.
So, and he was very reasonable for the repair that I got done. So, and we sent off a Lethal Weapon MPU.
Okay.
This is what I sent him. So,
yeah.
LockWinLit.com. Rob is the guy. Try him, Mr. Silverball Mania. See if he can help you out. Gottlieb System 3, right? I think is what you wanted. So, but Rob may be able to help you with that. So, okay, did we get? I think that covered two bases with one little thing there, Tim.
Yeah,
that's always good. Let's see what else we have here. Josh from Arcade Collectors Worldwide is in the house. Hey, Josh, how's it going? So, always good to see you. And then we have JR's Vintage Toys and more. Hey, guys, finally got my Arcade Repair Tips Volume 1 during the sale. I love it so much! With all the information shared in the DVD. Whoop, whoop!
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. So, we're glad you enjoyed the DVD. Make sure you buy Volumes 2, 3, and 4.
Right.
We're not quite Rocky, But we got 4 volumes, not 5, 6, 7. We're still working on that, right?
Well, they actually get better. Rocky just kind of goes downhill after about number 3.
Rocky 4, man.
Oh, yeah.
Rocky 4 is the pinnacle. Don't tell me any different. Now, after that, you can say it goes downhill.
Yeah.
But it's all about Rocky 4, okay? Rocky 3 was good, but, I mean, we went, what is it? So Rocky's 1 and 2. What's his name? Rocky 3, Clubber Lang.
Mr. T?
Mr. T, Clubber Lang.
Then you got to fight the Russians.
Right, and then the Russian. And then after that,
then
it's
who
downhill.
knows?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just all downhill.
You should have just quit while you were ahead.
Right, exactly. Apollo Creed, first 2. Sorry.
Yeah.
See, there you go. So, anyway, good stuff. But we're glad you're enjoying the DVD, JB. Please check out our other DVDs as well. Great stuff there. Let's see what else we have here. Sean says, I have a Cyber Sled, which has the plastic seats. They look rather dirty, and I've tried to clean them with tons of different cleaners, and nothing seems to get them clean looking. Any suggestions? And Tim, the funny thing is that we used to have a Cyber Sled. We had 2 of them.
Yes.
So we are very familiar with that game. Getting those seats clean is not easy, but YouTube Punk said something that we highly recommend. Magic Eraser.
Yes.
Magic Eraser will take years of grime off of like a 1920s pinball machine.
Right.
And as long as you don't rub too hard, it won't even take off the artwork. It's amazing stuff.
Also, you can get some kind of cleaners, like a paste style cleaner, and use a drill or a brush that attaches to your drill.
Brush. Hang on a second.
And that, really getting that spinning and stuff will help a lot. There you go, John. Show a good picture. Like this attachment right here that attaches to your drill. And like I said, you really need
this one's a little bit different here. This is actually drill brush. You can get these at drillbrush.com. Amazon sells them as well. You'll see them advertised on TV. This one's for getting like into corners of like bathrooms and things like that. This one is the best thing I found for cleaning a lot of like just multi-service stuff. So really good stuff there. But you mix this with you put a cleaner on it and then use this on it. It takes off, all sorts of stuff. And the
higher speed your drill, most of the time a corded drill is going to be better or higher, but not necessarily. I mean, there's some good drills out there that use a battery, but my drill at work, I have both a DeWalt corded drill and a DeWalt, regular drill that you plug in the wall, and I would highly recommend whatever one is the fastest. But yeah, you just put it in there and tighten it down, and then you're going to put that, like I said, now a lot of it depends on your cleaner. You want something kind of too pasty, something that is that type of, like a Novus.
Right. Yes, a
Novus would be good, and then you're just going to clean that really good with that. But this is what I would recommend and I feel your pain because we have a ton of those seats. And sweaty kids sit in them every day, and we have to clean them. And that's kind of some of the stuff that we use. If you got a Dollar General near you, or Family Dollar, I think they carry the Awesome brand. It's called Awesome. And
yes, I remember you saying it.
It's awesome.
You talked about Awesome before, and I have yet to get some. So.
It is a great cleaner. My wife cleans everything now with it, I mean, the whole house. And
so your whole house is awesome.
It is. It's awesome. Smells awesome. Looks awesome. She's a good cleaner. So
we need to get a paid sponsorship for Awesome.
We do. I would buy it in the 5-gallon bucket quantities if they'd sell it.
There you go.
As it really works that good. So. Try that, removes grime and stuff, and it'll help the smell, especially in old games and stuff.
So Sean says it's a textured surface, Tim, but a Magic Eraser even works on textured surfaces. But the drill brush will probably work better.
That's why we're talking about this drill brush, because I know what he's talking about. That seat's hard to clean, but that's where a drill brush like this will get in those little cracks and crevices and stuff, and will help a lot.
Okay, let's continue on here. Let's see here. What does that say? Sonic Brad says, Sylvester Stallone, Lundgren put me in the hospital during Rocky 4. Fun fact. There you go. I didn't realize that.
Wow.
So that's what Stallone said.
Okay.
So there you go. JR says, I need to get my RoboCop PCB fixed. It has a scrambled screen. Anyone you could recommend to repair it for me in Ohio?
RoboCop. Man,
yeah, well, I don't know any board repair guys in Ohio.
Offhand, I mean, I'm sure there are some.
We've got a list of repair guides on our resources page at arcaderepairtips.com/resources under the PCB heading. Check there. I don't think we have anybody in Ohio, though. But shipping boards off, Tim, for repair is pretty simple.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter where they're located.
Right.
Obviously, local is better, but, there's guys here in Texas, of course, and other places that do
just pack
really
it.
Great.
Pack it really
good. The guy, Rob, that we were mentioning, LockwinLid.com, who does pinball board repair, he's in Missouri, which isn't that far from us, Tim. Tim.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't have any problem shipping boards to them. So, I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be in your state. You just need to make sure when you pack it well, because I can guarantee you that FedEx and UPS will stomp on it, will throw it, will do everything. And I will say that if you guys listen to the old podcast, the question and answer podcast that we used to do, our friend Stan lost some boards. With USPS, so United States Postal Service. So I understand not wanting to necessarily ship boards, but Tim, FedEx, UPS, very rarely do they ever lose packages for me.
Not very,
very rarely. So now, United States Postal Service,
and I get dozens a day. So.
Exactly, but USPS may be a little bit different story. So there you go. Let's see what else we got here. Sean says, "Awesome, thanks guys." Let's see. Oh, I'm from Texas too, Dan. Texas. There we go.
Dan.
Howdy. Is that what we do? Y'all?
Yeah.
Right. Howdy, y'all.
How are y'all?
How
are you doing?
Yeah. I don't know.
So, we're from East Texas. I don't know. We're half Louisiana. I don't
That's
know.
Right. You and me both. I was born in Louisiana.
Yeah.
So,
we got.
But I've been here since I was 6 years old.
No telling what come out of our mouths.
So there you go. But anyway, we do live here in Texas now, and we love Texas.
Yeah,
it's great here. So.
We weren't born here.
We weren't born here, but we got here as fast as we could, just like the bumper sticker says. So, okay, we will continue on here. Let's see. Thanks, guys. I can ship it out. JR says, yeah. And Tim, we have a lot of guys there. If you can contact Raymond, Raymond does really good work on boards, especially JAMA boards like that. And that's arcadecomponents.com. Contact him, see if you can ship your board to him. He works on those boards. Tim, he's really good with Neo Geo boards, but even these newer style JAMA boards, he really doesn't have a lot of problems with, which is amazing. It's hard to find guys who work on those.
Right.
So. Okay, let us continue on here, Tim. Tim, we're getting to the discussion portion of the podcast of the live show, and the next little news article we have here is that Dave & Buster's promises truly memorable VR rides that definitely won't involve puking.
Okay,
so
that's nice to know.
Tim, our Dave & Buster's, not really the one that's local to us, but the one that we visit the most often, has now got this game. And Dave & Buster's has announced that it will deploy the largest commercial VR arcade partnership launch in history. More than 500 HTC Vive headsets will roll out to 114 locations in the United States and Canada as part of an initiative to make virtual reality more available to consumers. The headsets will be paired with a proprietary multi-participant motion platform created exclusively for Dave & Buster's. And Tim, the first game is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and it will be available, and it's actually available right now in several locations. The feature game will be switched out on a regular basis, and Tim, the Dave & Buster's that we like to go to, currently has it there.
Oh, we need to go.
So you can actually ride it, and I can't remember how much it is. I think it's like between $3 and $5 a play, which is kind of high, but think about what you're getting.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
If you're in the chat room and you've been to Dave & Buster's recently, and you can testify to playing this, let us know. Yeah,
I mean, I've seen a lot of pictures of people riding it, and it's just them on this platform going,
Right.
So I'm not, it's very interesting though, and apparently it's very immersive. So the HTC Vive, Tim, is just an off-the-shelf consumer headset that you could buy for your PC. But I think when you pair it with a motion platform, obviously it gets a little bit different. It kind of gives it a different feel.
Yeah.
So, but Tim, here's the thing. So Dave & Buster's is adding 500 HTC Vive headsets everywhere, but and this brand new motion platform, they don't have pinball machines.
No.
Okay, so they're adding new games at a rate, an unfathomable rate, because the next game that's coming out is the new Halo arcade game.
Right.
I mean, they've got a lot of new games coming, but for some reason, Dave & Buster's won't add pinball.
Even though we got new pinball games.
Exactly, even though there's new pinball machines.
And they've advanced and come forward and have LCD screens, a lot of cool stuff.
Exactly.
Why no pinball games?
Well, Tim, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So tonight's arcade debate. Oh, sorry, side camera. Should family entertainment centers like Dave & Buster's, Tim, add pinball machines to their selection of games? And Tim, like I said, they're adding everything else. So why not, or why should or should not they add pinball machines? And so, Tim, this is you and me. Oh, that's the next one. Let's go ahead and get into this debate. Are we in our squares?
Yeah.
Am I in the
pretty
square?
Good.
Okay, I think I'm in the square. Okay, are we ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So, welcome to the arcade debate segment for tonight, guys, and we are going to argue, should family entertainment centers, FECs like Dave & Buster's, should they add pinball machines to their selection of games. I've got Tim Pearson with me. I'm Jonathan Leung. Guys, I'm going to let Tim decide. Tim, what do you think?
Well,
should family entertainment centers add pinball machines to their selection of games?
I won't tell you my personal opinion, but I'll take the operator side.
Okay, you're going to take that. So you're
I'll
saying
be on Dave and Buster's.
So what is Dave and Buster's? What is their side of this argument?
Heck no, they're not.
Heck no.
Yeah, no. Why would you want a pinball game? You know, some 40, 50-year-old guy might come in there and play it, but most kids aren't going to play it. And they are expensive for the amount of money that they bring in.
Well, I'm going to take I'm going to say consumer side of it, Tim, and say they should add pinball machines. Let's think about pinball for a second, guys. It's a game we all grew up with. It's a game that most people are familiar with. And Tim, new machines like Wizard of Oz that have redemption modes seems like they are ready-made for family entertainment centers. What would be the downside of them putting a Wizard of Oz or a pinball machine that has a redemption mode in one of their family entertainment centers?
Well, one of the downsides is that nobody's had pinball games on route much anymore for the last, say, 10 years. Most of that market has went to the home or the collector who also works on pinball games, and most of them, as much advance as they made, they still break a lot, and they still have to stay on top of them, and most of the younger techs don't even have any clue on how to work on them.
But here's the deal, Tim, is that there are people, and I mean, we've talked to these people before, that would go to these places specifically to play pinball machines. Think about all the tournaments that happen at all of these, like Pinball's Kingdom in Austin and other pinball-related places. I mean, when they have a tournament, there's a gob of people there. So wouldn't it be worth it for family entertainment centers to have them just to drum up a lot of people gathering in one particular place?
I think that there is some potential there, but you got to talk about the cost of the machine versus what you're getting back from it. And that's the only way I could see it. They're going to have to sponsor some tournaments or something like that. I'm not totally against it, but when you consider that the average pinball game is now $7,000 or $8,000,
right?
And they're not getting a deep discount, maybe some discount if they bought, say, 20 or 30 or even 100 of them, but the profit is not there. So what happens when you put a pinball game in? Yes, it draws and attracts a few people, but most of today's kids simply ignore it, and it doesn't get played nowhere near as much as if you put your money into, say, the virtual reality game that you just mentioned before. Is going to get so many more plays than that pinball machine and make you a ton more money.
Well, but I mean, Tim, with pinball machines, I mean, I think that the reason why the new generation isn't necessarily interested in them as much is because they're not out in places. And so having them in a place like a family entertainment center for people to play, I mean, there's always going to be somebody, I think, that would be interested in that. And so I think when kids see pinball machines, it's something that's mechanical versus a lot of these games like virtual reality that are just virtual. I mean, isn't there something to that, having physical mechanisms that you're interacting with versus like virtual mechanisms that you're interacting with? Don't you think kids would be attracted to something like that?
I think so for a minute or two. But most kids today are more interested in flashiness and a lot of other things and their attention span is so short. They're not going to spend a lot of time. It takes a while to get good at pinball. We both own pinball machines, and it takes a while to really understand the rule set and get to where you can play a while on one play. Most time, especially if you never played pinball, it'll drain and you'll be done, and then you've already spent. I mean, what are you going to charge? You can't really charge much for it. If you charge $1 a play, which I think would be pretty fair, you still feel like, okay, that was a quick buck. I'm just going to go on and play something else. So I think as the home market, though, grows, and I think that it's not a bad idea. I think that we just need to reintroduce pinball more. And you have seen Dave & Buster's that had a classic arcade game and stuff. Sadly, though, every time we went, if we wanted to for sure play where nobody else was playing, it was always the Donkey Kong machine.
But, you know, you're talking about the price, and Tim, I mean, I'm going to talk about this for a second. The price of a pinball machine being $7,000, $8,000. Tim, there's a lot of redemption pieces that are way more than that. And
right.
They don't mind investing in those. So why wouldn't they invest in maybe a cheaper option in a pinball machine over a redemption piece?
Because redemption pieces have lots. Most of them, or some of the simpler ones, you know, when you go to Dave & Buster's, a lot of them are just like old iPhone games or something. Let's take a Full Tilt. Got a lot of stuff on it. I've spent maybe $100 on that game in 3 years, and that includes all the balls and some stuff that are broken and everything. And that's not a lot of money for what I'm getting back in. Problem with pinball games is, as I know, you have to stay on top of them. They get dirty easily, and as much as we made pinball machines a lot cooler, they still keep breaking down. And until we get past that barrier where they're not breaking down so much or so technical to work on, then I think that we're not going to attract some of the bigger buyers like we need to.
But I mean, what's the real cost here? You're saying it was $100 for your full tilt to keep it maintained. I know you operated pinball machines. When you're operating pinball machines, what kind of cost was that compared to the full tilt game that you're talking about?
Oh, in that 2 or 3 years, you probably go through 5-6 coils. You probably had to send the board off for repair once or 2 or 3 times. The display probably went out. You're probably looking at $1,000, $2,000 on top of what you've already paid. If you don't really know what you're doing. Now, if you're a really good repair person, but then again, you're going to spend a lot of time on that machine compared to some of the other ones.
So it's costing you time. I understand it's costing you time. It's costing you boards, but it's cheaper up front, I think, in a lot of cases. But you're saying that the maintenance cost is eventually going to catch up with the price of the game.
And time is money too. If you're going to spend a lot
of
time.
So maintenance cost. When I say maintenance cost, I'm talking
that.
Parts. I'm talking about service time.
Yeah, it just PMing the game, just keeping it looking good. When we had a pinball game at Chuck E. Cheese, I cleaned that thing every week, and I swear it still looked dirty. But, you can't justify, we did get 300 or 400 plays a week, which at that time, at a quarter a play, you're looking at $100 a week.
Right.
So, but it still takes a lot of weeks at $100 to pay off a $7,000 machine, whereas a $7,000 or a $17,000 or a $20,000 redemption game that's making $1,000 a week only takes 20 weeks to pay off. So, not that we totally agree, but we understand the economics behind it, that a lot of these games we need people to go and to talk to Dave & Buster's and send them requests, let them know. I don't know that they realize how big the community is, so the demand has to be there for it to make economic sense.
I understand, Tim. And I think, though, with the way that these tournaments are set up now, because, Tim, there's really I don't know, I can't think of any arcade games that have the type of tournament following that pinball has. And I think with the amount of tournaments that are being done, if they can get those going on, they can get a lot of people on that game and make a lot of money. But I think it does take something like that to maybe justify the cost based on what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think any game is a gamble. Even a brand new game, we've had some that just don't work very good, and
right.
And that's why they have test locations. I would highly recommend that some of our pinball manufacturing friends, why not negotiate with Dave & Buster? Let us send a game for free, and we will let you test it at a location. Let's see how much money it makes.
Sure.
Let's see how much it does. Let's see how many plays it gets.
And let's see what the maintenance is going to be on.
And see what it's like. If you do that for free, not very many companies are going to turn down a free game. We do it all the time for people. We test their games, and then we report back what problems we're having with them.
Last thing, Tim, obviously you mentioned the maintenance. Tim, that's something I think that's always going to be sort of an issue because, like we said, pinball machines are a lot mechanical, and so as long as there's moving parts, you're always going to have wear and tear on those moving parts. Is this a case where Dave & Buster's techs, maybe the average tech is just not good enough to repair the majority of problems that may go wrong with a pinball machine?
Well, they're probably good enough in a lot of sense, but the time that it takes, you just don't have a lot of time these days. Everybody expects everything fixed quickly. That's why, when we talked about the multimorphic P3 design, how you could just drop it out, put something in there, and go on. See, that may, to me, as an
something
operator,
like the P3 platform may actually
sell
better for that.
more because of that factor, and then I can work on my test bench or whatever. You got to remember these places now. Before we always just come in super early and get everything working. Now we're fixing games all day long. They're not wanting to spend the electricity to run the air and stuff when nobody's there, and it's dangerous to have that piece of glass open or off and stuff.
And have a play field up. I understand
pinball games it's a total different game type of deal. But having said that, what ideas can you guys come up with what could make this more presentable? Because I know, and I know that we both feel this way, John, even though we're having fun.
I was going to say, from a consumer standpoint, I think we can both agree we want pinball machines in more places.
We would love to see them in more places.
But from an operator standpoint, we totally understand why they're not.
Right. So what are you guys, some of your ideas? What do you think would help? And have you ever talked to your local Dave & Buster's manager and said, hey, why don't you have a pinball game?
Absolutely.
Put the bug in their ear. I think the more people that speak about pinball and stuff, I think the better the chances are that eventually it could happen.
Sounds good. So, guys, that's our thoughts on the issue, but we want to hear your thoughts. So if you're in the live chat, please share your thoughts with us right now. Or if you're on Facebook and Twitter watching this, please share them in the comments section or send us a message on Twitter and let us know how you feel. That is the arcade debate segment for tonight, and thank you guys for joining us for that.
Oh, I got out of my box.
Okay. Oh, that's okay. You can get out of your box.
I'm thinking outside the box.
Okay, here we go. So that is done, guys.
This
is
me thinking outside the box.
Here we go. Okay, we're back.
Okay.
So no more box. I can
all right.
So there you go.
What's in the chat room?
I don't know. I have to go all the way back now. See, I mean, we had a lot here.
Of chatter.
Let's see. Okay, we had a lot of chatter. Okay. Golly, I
know how everybody feels about this subject because we would love to have more pinball. And I mean, we can't afford a $7,000 or $8,000 pinball a week ourselves. We'd love to have a place we could just go and play them.
Absolutely. So here we go. So Louis says yes, yes, yes. Okay, but Louis told us our thoughts ahead of time, so I already knew that Louis was for it. Let's see. YouTube Punk says add them pinballs.
Yeah.
So there you go. RC Outdoors says, had you ever had to? Okay, that's a question. I'm going to hold off on that one. Let's see. JB says okay. Oh, that's sorry. We're getting off topic there. Let's see. I am terrible at pinballs. This is from Soniku Brat. I am terrible at pinballs, but I enjoy them. Having been to a few pinfests in downtown PA and elsewhere, the young kids seem to really enjoy them. So yes, for the kids, not us old fathers. YouTube Punk says us fatties need pinball too.
Okay.
So there you go. Sonic Brad, don't put out super hard pinballs. Put out fun, easy ones. Tim, I just want to say your shirt is, cool.
I've got a couple of compliments on the shirt today. Thank you,
Jonathan. There you go. That's from JR. Let's see. Nobody's going to throw up playing pinball. Yeah. Like the VR games, right? That's a great point. Yeah, you missed that point, Tim. You see?
Well, I don't know. You ever seen a cat when you're playing pinball going like this and
that's
watching?
That's true. Maybe the cat would.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, JR, you can get it at GameStop. It was put on KLOV by somebody today. Yes, you can get them at GameStop. That's where I got that one. Let's see. RC, would you like to... Okay, let's see. Oh, okay, that's something different. Let's see. Okay. Louis answering questions here. I'm trying to parse through here. Let's see. I think that's about it, maybe? Let's see.
Okay.
Oh, what about all digital screen pinball games? What about operating one of those, Tim?
It definitely, yeah. And they have, and they have come a long ways, too.
Yeah.
Like the virtual reality ones.
Right.
And I
like the ones that Brad makes.
Yeah, I think those would be cool.
There you go. Let's see what else we have here. Good idea. A good bit of new pinballs are modular though, so it seems a good bit more easy to repair. So there you go. So that's all the thoughts on that. Now, Tim, I'm going to go back and talk about some of the questions here before we move on to our next things here because we had some questions in there. Let me roll back up here. Let's see. RC, have you ever had to deal with a hard disk game such as Hydro Thunder where the drive went out? Where would you get the image with all the drivers? So MAME has CHD files, Tim, that you can burn to a hard drive. Okay. Compressed hunks of data is what they call it. Okay, and you can actually there's a way to take a CHD to a virtual hard drive image and then to burn that image onto a hard drive.
Like a program to do that?
There's a program to do that. Or some places will burn you a compact flash disk or a hard drive of that.
That's what a lot of our, like Chuck E. Cheese tech support, we send them the old hard drive. They figure it out. They burn it on a flash drive and send it back as a flash drive now.
Yeah. So like Hydro Thunder, you guys have H2 Overdrive.
Yes.
That's like that, right? So, I mean, just to give you an idea. So, do you know if anybody still supports Hydro Thunder since Midway's out?
Betson
would still do it?
Raw Thrills.
Okay, so Raw Thrills would still support that game? Well, it makes sense. A lot of the guys who work for Midway are authors now. So you may be able to contact Raw Thrills if you want that, or you can find somebody, or try to burn it yourself through the CHD. So let's see. Hey guys, not ever sure if you've ever seen the movie The Founder, but you should check it out. And I also think they should add pinball machines like my favorite Whirlwind. So there you go. Okay. I have seen The Founder. Okay, a little offshoot real quick. The Founder has Michael Keaton in it. It is about
the McDonald's. That's
and
a great movie.
It is a very good movie.
Good
if
show.
you haven't seen it, you should see it.
I think it's still on Netflix.
It may still be, but if you haven't seen it, it's very good. Highly recommend it.
They got robbed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the McDonald's brothers. Yeah, absolutely.
Them poor guys got robbed.
Right, absolutely. So let's see.
Not everybody wears a mask when they rob you.
That's right. So, okay. Louis says you can get. MAME has a good deal of the images for the drives, like we talked about. CHD files. That's what you're looking for. I've seen the CHD in MAME, but I'm not sure if it's a bootable OS. Plus, the drive interface is not being made anymore. Yeah, I think you can do it. There are some workarounds too for some of that stuff. If you do searches on Hydro Thunder, and I was doing research about some of the workarounds for like the video cards and stuff like that. There's a lot of things people have already developed to keep going. So do a search for Hydro Thunder on like KLOV, and you may find some information there. RC. So most you can do is put on an SD card, compact flash, very popular formats for that stuff now, like we talked about. Captain Retro says, "Hey fellas, I won a RetroN HD from y'all a while back. Love it and use it almost every day. Thank you so much. Hey, it's always good to hear from winners.
Congratulations.
Every so often we give away free stuff around here,
right?
Which is why you should watch. So there you go, Captain Retro. We're glad you enjoy it, and you should play it every day because it's a lot of fun." So there you go. Let's see. Does Hydro Thunder have a PC in or just a hard drive? Louis says it is a PC. It's a full PC in there. So let's see.
And an I/O board.
Yeah, exactly. So and then it looks like Louis linked to an eBay auction that has the hard drive.
Oh, sweet.
So if he wants to do that. My Revenge from Mars pinball has a PC. That is correct. Yeah, that is a Pinball 2000 game, Tim.
Yes.
Has a PC in it. PC-based system. Let's see. Going through here. I think that's everything for right now.
Okay.
Oh, Louis says Pinball Arcade, but I'm upset with him right now. If you want to do the virtual pinballs, you know. But yeah, Pinball Arcade unfortunately does not have all the tables anymore. So they lost all the Williams Valleys. And was it last episode we gave like our list of our favorites, but now you can't buy them. So there you go, guys. Captain Retro, you guys rule. Keep up the awesome. There you go. Awesome.
Okay.
I want to get you a t-shirt made just says awesome cleans everything.
Yeah.
So there you go. We need to sign them up as a sponsor. I'm serious. You can contact them. So anyway. Okay, well, speaking of consoles like the RetroN HD, Tim, there is a RetroN 77 come out, and you can get it pre-ordered today by going to this website here. But they are being accepted. The RetroN 77, Tim, plays Atari 2600 cartridges in HD.
Wow.
Did you ever think when you were a kid that you would see that?
No.
There you go. So the console is compatible.
I didn't know there was HD when I was a kid.
Exactly.
I thought it was HD.
Exactly. I thought it was HD. It's compatible with 2600 cartridges, controllers, and upscales to 720p HD with aspect ratio buttons. So, Tim, you can stretch it or you can experience it in 4x3.
That's pretty cool.
So you got an option. It includes one controller, HD cable, micro USB cable, and an AC adapter. And it also includes a joystick. Okay, so you actually get that, like we said, one controller, and it is compatible with your old Atari joysticks.
Okay.
If you still have one around.
Because there's 2 buttons on that joystick.
Yes, there is 2 buttons. Maybe there's a turbo button.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe. But price is $69.99, and the expected ship date is July 7th, Tim, only 2 days away.
Wow.
So in 2 days, it won't be pre-orders anymore. It'll be actual orders, probably.
You going to order one?
You know, I don't have enough 2600 cartridges, I think, to really make it worth my while. What about you?
Go to GameStop.
Yeah, that's right. I can start loading up on them.
Mine.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think at this point, I don't have enough
Matt
Atari
Carter
2600s.
has all mine.
Exactly. So I don't think we have enough 2600 cartridges to justify the purchase. But if you do, I would say it's definitely a have to. So there you go. Let's see here. YouTube Punk says, it's awesome, made by the same people as Kaboom.
I'm not sure.
Okay, he's going to look it up. While I do the next news item, the NES Classic returns to GameStop and ThinkGeek and every other retailer this week. And Tim, this actually came last week. So June 29th, guys, NES Classic editions have been on the shelves. And Tim, they are way more readily available than they were the first time around. So if you weren't able to get one last time, there's a very, very, very good chance you'll be able to get one this time. The console retails for $60, okay? And it is still first come, first serve. But, Tim, I think people have learned their lesson from last time. They are limiting it to 1 per customer. And there's a lot of them at every retailer you go to. So you go to Targets, Walmarts, GameStops, Amazon, had them on sale for a little bit. You will be able to find these things, good chance, if you go out and about. And Tim, GameStop actually does it pretty good. If you you have to walk up to the counter and ask them for it. Okay, and that way you'll know. And they can also probably tell you when the next batch is coming in. They did this with the Super NES Classic, and I think it worked really well. So I think it works just as well with the NES Classic. And Tim, we did post all of the places you could get it, but at this point, Tim, you can pretty much get it anywhere. Like the stock levels that I've been looking at say that it's available at most places, like locally and even online. Best Buy had them for a really long time on launch day. Amazon had them for about a 30-minute window. GameStop continues to put them on sale, like just here and there. So, it's really good stuff. Tim's still looking up Awesome here. And,
Awesome is made by LA. And the website is LATotallyAwesome.com. I don't know.
LATotallyAwesome.com.
But I'm getting excited here because I see they make a lemon scent Awesome.
Oh, well, there you go.
They make a concentrated Awesome.
Oh, there you go.
They make a green Awesome for you environmentalists out there.
Green Awesome.
Orange Awesome.
Orange Awesome.
And I didn't even know there was more awesome. I didn't know it could get any more awesome than regular awesome.
There you go.
There's
apparently it's a lot more awesome.
Pine Clean Awesome.
Pine Clean Awesome.
Yeah. Orange All-Purpose Degreaser Awesome. LA Totally
Orange
Awesome.
All-Purpose Degreaser Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. They're great.
Anyway, LATotallyAwesome.com.
You see, you need to have your own scent.
I did see that
it could be like Arcade Repair Awesome. And it could be scented.
And I saw that you could get it on Walmart.com for $12.99 or $11.88.
Oh, $11.88.
It's $1 at Dollar Tree.
Well, it may be the ounces.
Yeah, well,
that's
a little bitty bottle. Look at it. That's the small one.
Okay.
I know my stuff.
Okay.
Don't buy the one at Walmart.
go to Dollar Tree.
Go to Dollar Tree.
Dollar Tree or Dollar General?
Dollar General.
Dollar General, okay.
Yeah.
So, because, that's two different things. So, what would Arcade Repair Scented Awesome smell like?
Oh, I think it would smell
like sweat?
Or like a dirty garage.
Dirty garage, that sounds good. Or a dusty warehouse, so maybe like that.
Yeah, maybe like that. The smell I like, and they should put this in I would wear this cologne. We would call it Harbor Freight.
Harbor Freight.
It has a smell, right? If I blindfolded you and we walked in the store, I said, "Where are we?" You go, Harbor Freight. It just has a smell. It's like a manly get tools and work on stuff smell.
So Harbor Freight Scented Awesome.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
That's what I want.
Okay, there we
go.
Cologne.
I can just wear,
Harbor Freight cologne.
Yeah, just so I can just smell like I work on stuff all day.
There you go. So you don't even have to go to work and you at least smell like you've been there.
But tell me if you don't know the truth.
You're 100% right.
You walk in, you smell. It's Harbor Freight. I just go in there and take it in for a second. Then you got to go shopping.
Harbor Freight Scented Awesome. That's what we need.
At least an air freshener for my car or something.
Air freshener. There you go. So I like your awesome ideas. There you go.
We're way off topic today.
I'm telling you.
We were talking about the Nintendo Classic
Well,
Edition
I think we're done with that now.
All right.
At this point. But let's see. I do want to say, don't forget the extra controller if you buy that. That's right. It only comes with one. The Super NES came with two. The Classic only comes with one, guys.
Okay.
So there you go. So JR says, guys, I have an Indy 500 dual sit down. Had no sound. I fixed that part, but both work, but are having issues linking them together to play head to head, and the force feedback. Help, please. So he's having problems linking them. So
you got to go into the settings and tell it which one is which. That you're player 1 or player 2.
Right.
So if you don't have your settings up, that will mix it up. And it may be a dip switch setting, too, that you have to do. Most of the time, I think it's a soft dip.
Right.
But it may be a hard dip. I'm not sure. But you got to let it know this is, or it'll be master and slave or something like that. You have to differentiate between the two, or that'll mess it up. Then the
force feedback?
Yeah, the force feedback, I think on that one has a motor. So your motor could go bad. If both of them are like that, you could have a driver to those motors doing that. If one is bad and the other one's okay, then you're in luck, because then you can swap motors or swap potentiometers and see if the problem follows. A lot of times it's just the potentiometer that gets out of whack, but the feedback, the motor has to have power. Has to have some voltage going to it. So check your voltage on both motors and make sure that you're getting power to it when you're supposed to. Also go into your settings and calibrate it and make sure that the motor feedback is turned on. Again, another setting that could change that.
There we go. So let's see what else we have here. Okay, lemon scented, LA totally awesome. A musty old cab. Somebody says is a great smell. Musty old cab, awesome. There we go. Does this mean it would break after a few uses? I think he's talking about the Harbor Freight cologne.
Oh yeah,
Harbor Freight, awesome. It only works for like half a bottle, and after that it no longer works anymore.
Yeah, the smell dissipates after a few weeks.
It only smells like Harbor Freight for, if it's a 60-ounce ball for 30 ounces, and then after that you don't have any more. So there you go. Let's see what it's doing. Any air? Our YouTube punk's asking JR. No, it's able to be played on the right side, and the steering is erratic. So yeah, potentiometer, right?
Yeah, sounds like a potentiometer problem.
Sounds good. So okay. So check your potentiometer, check your motor. And Tim, let's go ahead and we'll let, if anybody else has any additional questions, you guys can get them in there now. We're about to wrap it up here. And while we are, let's go ahead and mention this. We want your arcade-related videos. If you want some free advertising for your YouTube channel, please contact us. We're looking for people to submit short videos, 10 minutes or less, about arcade-related topics. Please send a link to your video to questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Our staff will review it. If we like it, we'll use it during one of our live show episodes. Make sure to put a plug in for your channel so people know where to find you. We look forward to your submissions. And Tim, Paul Duray actually sent in a submission. I didn't put it here on the thing, but if you go to Paul Duray's channel, which we've linked to before, and I'll try to put it down in the notes too, he has a brand new video on discharging a G07 monitor. Okay. Which is something that is very useful.
Oh, yeah, I watched it.
Yeah, so, if you haven't seen that, the great information there.
It
of course,
good.
We can never have too many discharging monitor videos, right?
No.
Never have too many.
No, and I liked the way he did that, too. So
there you go. So, but if you guys have YouTube channel and you want to feature it here on our show, please send us your link and a video that we can share, and we'd be happy to share that out. Okay, here we go. Okay. Oh, Tim, we got some money.
Oh,
RC says, thanks for the tips. And YouTube Punk says, thanks, guys. The live shows are always fun. We got $10.
Wow.
$9.99.
Okay.
How many bottles of Awesome can we buy?
We can buy 9.99.
With tax.
Yeah.
I got use 8, right?
Oh, yeah.
And with some change left over. And Tim, we'll work on our Harbor Freight Scented Awesome next time. There you go. So, anything else, Tim?
No.
We're about to get into the after show. So,
we've kind of been after
you want to
show
tease something about the after show?
I like some of the.
Like something you're going to talk about.
Yeah, I will really. You mentioned a show to watch, and me and my wife both really got into that.
Okay.
And I now want to hear your opinion on that show. And what's
the show? Say the name of it.
The show is called The Staircase.
The Staircase on Netflix. We'll be discussing the Staircase.
Documentary.
Yes, it is a docudrama.
Yeah.
Okay, but we'll be discussing The Staircase in the after show, so stay tuned after the credits. Oh, after the credits. We don't have credits. Stay tuned after the regular live show. We'll get to the after show, and we'll move on to that. Tim, we should have credits.
Yeah.
We should. I'm just saying.
What are we going to give credit to?
I have no idea. You and me.
Okay.
And Louie.
Yeah,
Louie's in here. Louie. There you go. But and everybody who pays us money.
You definitely get credit.
That's right. You get credit as well.
Thank you guys, seriously.
Absolutely. So we will be discussing The Staircase in the after show, so you guys stay tuned for that. But Tim, let's wrap it up with some contact information, shall we? And so the first thing we have here, generate email, questions@arcaderepairtips.com, questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Put live show in the subject to get it mentioned on the show. Again, questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Tim, of course, we have our YouTube page. You guys are here right now, but if you need to get to it for some reason, youtube.arcaderepairtips.com. Comments from the last live show will be covered on the next episode. So if there's any comments from the last show, we will cover it on the next episode. And then the podcast, Tim, podcast@arcaderepairtips.com. That goes to our friends Eric and Rusty, who hosts the Question and Answer podcast. Tim, did you happen to listen to the last one?
Yes.
Okay. The last, here, Tim, I'm going to break us in here real quick. The last episode of the Question and Answer podcast had an interview with Billy Mitchell. Okay, from the Southern Fried Game Room Expo. So if you haven't checked that out, and this is after all the allegations and everything,
all right.
He's at the very end of the podcast. And Tim, we did something cool on that. That podcast is completely bookmarked, so you can jump directly to the Billy Mitchell part if you want to. You don't have to listen to the whole thing. I would encourage you to listen to the whole thing because there's a lot of great information in there. But if you can't understand, jump to the section that you want. Lots of great interviews from the Southern Fried Game Room Expo on that show, Tim.
From the man himself.
That's right. So in Billy Mitchell's own words at the end of the podcast, great stuff. Highly recommend you listen to it if you haven't already. Again, you can find all of the episodes at arcaderepairtips.com, or you can go to our iTunes page, and I'll go ahead and put this up, itunes.arcaderepairtips.com, and our Stitcher radio page at stitcher.arcaderepairtips.com. We have an RSS feed you can subscribe to as well if you use a different pod catcher. So whatever kind of program you use. We are in most podcasting programs, though, Tim. You can find us in most of them. But Eric and Rusty are doing a phenomenal job, and the Southern Fried Gamer Expo is one you will definitely want to catch. So there you go. Okay, and then social media, guys. Facebook.arcaderepairtips.com and Twitter.arcaderepairtips.com. We want to thank Louie. We want to, Tim, for doing all the moderation over there. I mean, it's just, it's a lot of work that, that everybody puts in order to post stuff there. Tim, I post stuff there. You post stuff there. I mean, we all post stuff there. So, I mean, there's a lot of great information there. And all that stuff gets cross-posted on Twitter as well at twitter.arcaderepairtips.com. So there you go. Oh, RC Outdoor says that entire episode was good. He must have listened to the Southern Fried Gamer Expo.
Yes, it was good.
So it was very good. And if you didn't listen to it, I produce those kind of, Tim. So like I'm on the horn listening to them live while they're doing it a lot of times, and I'm trying to help them out with levels and stuff like that. So even though I'm not on the air, I'm definitely listening whenever it goes on. So I guess I get a production credit for that if you're talking about credits.
And I didn't even know they were going to interview Billy Mitchell.
Yeah, I didn't either. That was a big surprise. They did not tell me ahead of time who was on the list for all the interviews, but they had some great guests on there, Tim, that I highly recommend.
He wasn't the only one.
No, he wasn't.
So good,
yeah, absolutely.
Good one to listen to.
But again, getting back, social media pages, thank you, Louie and Mark, for all the jobs that you do on the social media and for posting. We really appreciate that. And, of course, if you want to hear any news and information, guys, make sure you check it out there as well. Tim, anything you want to say anything awesome that you want to say before we move on to the live show?
I just want to thank everybody for the live chat. You guys were asking questions and making comments
Fast and Furious tonight.
I really enjoyed having you here. But those of you who didn't get to be with us live, remember we do this we try our best, pending family emergencies or something, to do this on the first Thursday night of the month.
That's right.
So you can look ahead, mark it on your calendar. We do it at approximately 5:30. Approximately 5:30.
We're gonna have to start moving it back, I have a feeling.
Central Time, USA. So remember, we are in Texas.
Central Time.
So
Chicago time.
We try to do it during that time frame. Please encourage one another to come. As if you've asked a question, a lot of times we answer those questions. We tell those people we're going to remind us, hey, this is my question, and we can go a little further if we need to, or whatever. And we don't mind. We'll take as many questions as you can ask in the chat room. So by all means, if you're not in the chat room now, but you're watching this later, mark it down. So the first Thursday night
August 2nd will be the next one, Tim.
August the 2nd.
August the 2nd, 2018 will be the next live show, 5:30 p.m.
So
Central Time.
Set your watch now. Put it on your Google Calendar or whatever you use, and join us. We really enjoy when we have a lot of people like tonight over there. It makes it fun, makes it entertaining, and there's a lot going on over there that we're not talking about because questions are being answered and people are helping each other over there. So you got a team of people here of average folks, arcade repair collectors just like you, plus Louie and some more experienced guys over there that are helping each other. And that's what it's all about, is creating a community where we can all get our games going and fixed. So,
and Tim, I should say that, this is the 17th episode. I really like the live show format because it allows us to interact directly with you.
Exactly.
The podcast format was great. There's times that I miss that because, it's like you're talking at the audience and you don't have to worry about interruptions. But I think you and me handle interruptions okay.
I think so.
And so I kind of like the fact that we get instant feedback from you guys. That's the best part about doing the live show, is having you guys here to chime in about the different things that we're discussing and to ask questions if you have them on the fly. So, anything else, Tim? I think you summed it up well.
No, I think we just want to get on to the after show because those have become a fan favorite and our favorite part too. So, thank you guys for watching.
And Tim, remember here at Arcade Repair Tips, when you fix the game, you play the game. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you in the after show.
Long fuse
And we're back
Welcome.
to the Arcade Repair Tips After Show, guys. The show after the show, how did you think the show went?
I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was pretty good, too.
It's always, you know, you kind of have things prepared, but then you never know what questions are going to come out.
I'm going to get you a t-shirt that has a bottle on it, and it says Harbor Freight sent it awesome.
Yeah.
So they
we didn't know we were going to talk about that.
No, we didn't.
So not much is scripted, as you can tell. So we have fun with it.
A little bit is scripted.
Yeah, but it's fun. There's a little outline,
right.
but we still have fun.
We have an outline. That's all we have.
I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Absolutely. It was fun. So, let's talk about the after show. Tim, I think we teased an investment update. Here's all the stuff we're talking about, guys. So, we will talk about how is our $10 doing. That's the first thing.
Well, you remember we bought in CRON, which is a legalized marijuana stock.
Yes.
And I thought when Canada passed the whole country,
right?
That's a big country.
Yep.
I thought it would go up.
Yep.
Vermont become the 9th state to legalize it.
Right.
The FDA approved CBD drug. You know what I mean? Down. So what do I know?
So there you go. So
it's a good thing I sold beforehand.
There you go.
But that same stock is down to $6.57.
So where's our money now?
Well, right now money is riding in on AXON.
AXON. That's a ticker symbol, right?
It's a ticker symbol, and they are having a presentation on the 10th, which is, what is that, Monday?
5 days from now.
Monday or Tuesday.
Yep.
And you don't go and speak it anywhere on bad news. That's my thought. You're going, you're speaking at a conference presenting something. It better be good news. You don't really want to go and say we're blowing a bunch of money or
that's true.
We just, had 5 people die in clinicals.
Right.
That's my guess.
Okay.
You got invited to speak. You must have some good news.
So where are we at, like money wise?
Money wise, we're probably around $11.
Okay. So
11,
we're still
70.
We're on the positive side.
Yeah, if you figure percentages,
right?
We're up about 25%.
No, there you go. So okay, sounds good to me. So any stocks that you want to talk about?
I'll
let you talk about other investment.
The trade wars right now are very serious, and we're going to tax you and you're going to tax us, and however you feel about it is serious because it affects not only a lot
Your
of
awesome's
stuff.
Not going to be $1 anymore.
It's probably not. Well, right. It says LA awesome. I hope it's made in LA. But even from there, it might not be $1. You're right. In tariffs, and think about cars.
Right.
A 25% tax on a luxury already BMW or something coming from, or stuff that we ship you guys like pork or wherever you're from. So really, I think the idea is to make it a more fair trade and kind of call everybody's bluff. And I hope that it all equals out and everybody brings to the table and we're looking at fair trade across the board.
So you're thinking this isn't necessary. It's not going to end up resulting in us taxing other people's goods, but then bringing down the tariffs on ours?
I think so.
That's what you're thinking.
That's what I'm thinking. I think that's the goal. Now, whether that happens or not,
sure.
Especially, it's just what we would call unfair trade. Where you're taxing, just like, okay, Jonathan, I will charge you $10 if you bring it to me, but if I have to bring it to you, I'm going to charge you $20. Sure. And the same distance. Right. So why am I charging you more to bring it to me and me be lazy, whereas if I got to get up and do it, I'm going to charge you double. Right. And so I think that's, if you look at it from that... Just
like we charge more for when we have to go upstairs.
Exactly. So that's more effort. But when it's
if I have to take an arcade game upstairs, I'm charging you more for it.
It's apples to apples. Right. One place to another, it should be the same price. Right. Now whether the price needs to be 20 or 10, we need to negotiate, or maybe we'll settle on 12 or 15. But at any rate, that is drastically affected stocks. And so what's happened right now, the market is really slow. It's not bad, just slow. But here's what I noticed. Every single day, there's always one stock that's doing good. No, even on the worst days.
Oh, yeah.
So finding those diamonds.
And it's Apple.
Yeah. Finding those. Apple's not.
Nah, it's okay.
They're just steady.
Amazon. I'm sorry. It's Amazon.
Yeah, they're just kind of and they're expensive. So I do throw those in some of my ETFs. But right now, I'm just kind of laying low. I pick a stock or two. If they do okay, good. If they don't, I try not to lose hardly, just a little, if anything. And then I go on to the next day, and I'm kind of in chill mode right now.
I do want to talk about one of my big gains. So in January, I bought WWE stock.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh, great.
knowing that it usually goes up around WrestleMania time in April.
Okay.
But what happened a couple months after April? They
still
announced
kept
a $1 billion deal with Fox.
Right.
Big Fox to broadcast one of their shows, SmackDown, for 5 years. $1 billion.
Wow.
That's why their stock is so high
It's
right now.
gone.
It is more than doubled what I paid for it in January.
Wow.
So there you go. I made money on wrestling.
And I knew a lot of people that have said that they, we call him Wrestler Mike. My friend Mike, he may be listening right now. He just bought it. He's been buying it for the last 5 years. He has some really low. He's been buying it just because he likes wrestling. Now I'm like, Mike, you're going to retire pretty soon, So that's it. Here's the fun thing about the stock market is doing the research and finding stocks that not only you like or you believe in that are doing good. Some of you may know that for extra money and just for spending money and for savings, we have donated plasma for about the last year. Mm-hmm. And so I thought it would be cool to look up and see how BioLife Plasma does. BLFS is their stalker symbol. Excuse me for the slip there. But I bought in at about $4.80, and they had big earnings announced the other day. They went up to $17.
Wow.
So, and they are steadily around the $15 range now. And that was in January. So that would be my biggest win. My biggest regret is I didn't buy a lot more of it.
Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking the same thing about WWE. You don't know, though. That's the thing about stock market.
You don't know,
you really don't know.
But what's fun is when you do the research and you heard about the deal, the news. Here's 3 things I now look for. I look for news. Then I look for what I call float, or it means how many shares are actually out there to buy. And the more that lower that number is, that means that it doesn't take much to make it to move because people are scrambling because there's not a lot left to get.
Right.
Okay? So I look at float and I look at volume. I look at any day's time, what's over 1 million or over 500,000. What are people paying attention to? And right now, it's like I said, it's just really slow, but there's always that little diamond or little announcement. And there's a lot of good stocks. And then I like to invest in companies. My dad died from cancer, so when I hear that there's a company that has promise in cancer research, sometimes I'll throw money at them, knowing that it may not pan out. But what if it does? Even if I never get that money back, I feel like I'm giving to companies that are doing something good with it, and that makes me feel good, especially when I lose money. I don't feel so bad. It definitely is quite a ride, though. I've got my second book that I'm reading on charting, so I've actually learned how to set up my own screener on what I like.
Right.
Using TradingView.com or Thinkorswim. Those are free websites you can go to. You can learn how to set up your own chart. I'm looking for stocks that are doing this. That's why sometimes I'll send you one. Chart says this stock's going to do good. Didn't do so good yet this week.
That's right.
Yet, but I have noticed that a lot of times I'm like, it was wrong, and then 3 or 4 days later, all of a sudden it's like, what did you know that I didn't? Because it just looked like it was going nowhere. Then sometimes you just got to hold on, be a little patient. But most of the stocks we invest in are penny stocks. If they don't move very quick, I got to go on to something else that is.
And I was going to say, if you're just new to investing or you just want to give it a shot, we highly recommend the Robinhood platform.
Yes.
Robinhood is completely free to trade on. You don't have to pay anything except for just what you're going to do to trade, except the amount that you want to trade.
And you email us, we will give you our link, and and I will both get a free stock.
That's right. So there you go.
So if you thought about it, and you can do it. I started with $25.
Yeah, you don't have to start with much.
I started with $25 and just started playing with it. It wasn't long until I had a couple hundred, and the other day we had a glitch in the system, and I had, for a while there, I was about to retire.
There you go.
But I have learned a lot about how money works and how stocks work, and it's very interesting. I've still got a lot to learn. So if any of you guys that are listeners or experts and you want to give me some tips, or if you want me to share some tips with you, I'll be more than happy to. I do a lot of research. I try not to gamble. I try to make, what would you call, like an educated guess?
Sure.
I think that knowing if there's good news and there's high volume and the float's low, it's probably going to go up. It may not stay up long. Sometimes you got to get in, get out, get on with your life. or sometimes no one don't buy today. There's just nothing. It's just the market's not doing very good.
Right.
Or when to hold. This is a good stock, just nobody's realized it yet.
Just like the gambler. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
But it's been kind of fun. It's kind of a game. If you don't, but it's a game that you're playing with money. It's different,
right.
So I would highly recommend, if you want to get into it, Robinhood is a good way to do it. Download the app. You can start really low. Webull is what I use too. It's also free now, John, and it has a lot of charts. It's a lot more in depth. I'd like to show you that sometime. It'll also show you what the float is. It'll show you what the average volume and all this. It's got a lot more information, Robinhood, one little line chart.
Sure.
But it is more information. Not everybody has a lot of time just to sit there and analyze charts. Right. You just got to see and take a guess. But long-term investing, we do highly recommend, too, that you do have a 401k or some way of investing your money. If you don't, I would encourage you to use the Stash app. For a lot of you millennials out there, younger guys, you can use a Stash where it takes the change, rounds it up out of your account, and puts it into an account.
Acorns is the same thing, yeah.
I like Stash a lot better than Acorns. I've tried both.
Okay.
Stash app is really cool, and I've actually, it won't be but a couple more months, and I will be able to say that my stash, just from $5 a week, is probably going to overtake anything I'm doing. And that's crazy, though. Right. It adds up, and those ETFs are a lot safer investment.
Well, I was going to say, too, Tim, if you don't have a 401k, you can open a traditional IRA, a Roth IRA with several financial institutions and start investing today. But, by not having those, Tim, you're missing tax-sheltered money. You know what I'm saying?
That is true.
And that stuff is very helpful later on. So, it's good stuff to have. And I was going to say, my one tip on investing is to invest in companies that you spend money with. Because if you spend money with them, then more than likely they're making money.
True.
Okay, so now Tim likes to sometimes go with the highly volatile stuff that he doesn't necessarily, like cancer drugs and things like that, experimental stuff. The nice thing about volatile is that it can always go up, but it can go down real quick.
And it can go very fast.
But, I've talked about before, Tim, I have stock in Dave & Buster's. I have stock in World Wrestling Entertainment. And so these are companies, Tim, that I consume the products of.
Right.
And so I understand
it's
them.
nice to have those in that you're in for the long haul.
Exactly.
And that you don't have to worry about, even if they go down, you just ride in the waves. Eventually, even the low points will be a lot higher than your high points were a couple years ago. So that's where it gets interesting. So my main thing is that everybody should be planning for the future. I don't think, no matter what your job is, you really don't want to do that forever. And you need some balance in your life. And investing, whether it be stocks, bonds, even just a savings account. If you guys aren't doing that, we're off topic here, but it's very good to do, especially a lot of you young guys at your age. Had I been doing this years ago,
there you go.
Had I bought that Pixar stock, of course I wouldn't be here probably.
That's right, you wouldn't be doing this.
Oh, well.
YouTube Fun says Robinhood and Webull, Webull,
yeah,
right?
Webull.
Bull is in bull and bear.
Yeah, that's Webull. Comes from not like Weeble Wobbles.
Right.
It's Webull. And their app, I don't know if we can show that, kind of looks like a bull horns. It's just blue, and it kind of looks like that. And Robinhood looks like a little feather, like a Robin Hood feather, and his cap is green.
That's right.
Like you want your
there's
money.
Actually Twitch plays the stock market, and it's done with Robinhood. And so what happens, Tim, is in the live chat for that Twitch stream, you can tell, there's commands to tell it what to buy and what to sell. And this guy has put money in there, and Twitch, the chat, actually controls what that account buys and sells.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Have you ever seen that? It's amazing.
Yes. And another thing
Twitch plays the stock market.
Another thing that you guys can do is this, and this costs zero money. You can paper trade. And paper trade is kind of like monopoly money. You can go to Thinkorswim or somewhere and paper trade. And what that does is you could play. Let's say I had $100, I want to invest it, and you can see how you would have done had you actually invested in it. And then you can decide, oh, well, I think I know what I'm doing before you actually put real money down.
There you go. So, sounds good. I think we're done with the investing tips for tonight.
Yeah.
That's it. So, there you go. Tim, so we posted, and, I'm going to talk about some of the things here. Does it hurt when you donate the plasma?
It just like any time you give blood, there's like those people, you want Susan or somebody, they're like Sometimes you hardly even know it's there. You don't even feel it. It usually does hurt me a little bit when they first stick the needle in.
Okay.
After that, I don't think about it, and you just pump it. It takes about an hour. Mine pays $20 the first time, $70 the second time. That averages to $35 an hour.
Gotcha.
No taxes out of it. I don't know how they probably have some tax.
Right.
Because you're donating.
Right.
They're paying you for your time. But if you figure in every month they have monthly bonuses and stuff, I probably average closer to around between $80 and $100 a week for 2 hours worth of work.
Wow.
So
pretty good.
What I say is we take that money and we don't touch it for about 2 months, and then we throw it into our savings account, or I invest it, or something. Right. That's another way to invest without really spending our budget for groceries or having to sell a kid or something.
Sell a kid. There you go. Let's see what else we have.
Good question, though. Thank you. And it doesn't really hurt at all to me. I mean, it's a little bit of pain, but if you've ever went to the doctor, nobody likes getting a shot. I think it does hurt for a second, but then it's kind of over with.
Right. So, Louis, Edward says, "Hi guys, sorry I'm late. I was at work. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
It's okay to be late.
Go back and watch.
That's right. You can rewind
ask
it.
a question right now if you want.
That's right. Ask a question right now. No problems being late here." Louis says, "Roth IRA as young as possible." Now, what's the difference between Roth and traditional? Roth IRA, you get the taxes taken out up front.
Yes. So
okay, traditional, you get the taxes taken out when you pull it.
Right.
So, like when you retire, you pull it out. The thing about it is that the tax rate more than likely will be higher later than it is right now.
Right.
Not always, but more than likely.
Well, what they're thinking is that it'll be lower because you'll be older.
Right.
You'll be so old, you'll be in a lower tax bracket because, or you'll retire, and your income, it will be your income, and it won't be taxed very high at all.
Exactly.
If it worked out that way.
Correct.
What more than likely happens is you run into something, you go through something in life, and you need some money, or your house, whatever, starts needing repairs, and
you have hardship claim.
You have to take out some of that money, and they really tax you hard. So the advantage in the Roth is you've already paid the taxes. Sometimes you can just take out.
Just take it out.
Or you do what we do, is you can take a loan of your own money, pay yourself back, and you get the interest that it charges, and you actually grow your account that way. And then every 3 or 4 years, you take out a loan, you fix something, you buy a few new games, or
whatever you need to do, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. Let's see what else.
Whatever it is, you guys really should.
This has been an informative after show. There you go.
You seriously should consider what your investments are, and
okay.
And arcade games could be an investment for some people. You buy them broke, fix them, turn around, sell them.
That's right.
We've had arcade games we're sitting on just in case we needed some money. We could go sell a game.
Absolutely.
And I've been there.
So Edward says, "It doesn't hurt. I give all the time." So he says the plasma doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Let's see. I've donated blood, not the plasma. Edward said, "I would sell the kids."
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's pretty good. So anyway, Tim, let's move on here. Toys R Us liquidation, all stores.
Everyone
closed in U.S.
There is no more Toys R Us. It's sad.
There is Toys R Us. It's not here.
Right.
So I gotta come over here real quick. It's like he's crying over here.
Oh, poor Jeffrey.
Poor Jeffrey here. I don't have like a little just single teardrop down the eye there, but here we'll sit.
You want to share? You got a memory that you would share? A specific Toys R Us?
I posted on the Facebook page, but it was the first place I ever wrote a check. Was Toys R Us.
That's pretty cool.
So I bought a Genesis, Model 3, a Model 3 Sega Genesis for $20. I wrote my first check out on my checkbook for a Model 3 Sega Genesis for $20. So and I remember I was nervous as all get out. My cursive was terrible. I'm surprised you could even read it, but I got the $20 in the box and everything else worked. So kids won't write checks. That won't be a thing anymore, right?
I'm gonna tell. Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm gonna tell a story.
Oh, okay.
And
I didn't realize you had a story.
Well, I got a story here that I think people might find interesting. And some of you younger guys are gonna have to Google this to know that I'm telling the truth and what's going on. I grew up in a small town in Oklahoma, and
I was born in a small town.
It was a big deal to get to go to Toys R Us because it was about 35, 40 miles away in Norman, Oklahoma. right next to a place called Crossroads Mall.
Okay.
Okay?
That makes sense.
So,
a lot of them buy malls.
By the mall, yeah. So that was a big day, was to go to the mall. I would love to go to the mall and get a T-shirt with like Starsky and Hutch or Trans Am, and they had those iron-ons.
Oh, yeah.
They had like the glitter and stuff on them. I was real proud of those in the 70s. But one of my favorite things to do was to get rock candy at the candy place, go to the arcade, and then we go over to, of course, before we go home, we'd always go to Toys R Us. Well, I was at this Toys R Us, and I was probably about 7 or 8 years old, and I saw a tricycle just roll right across the aisle. And I thought, that was kind of creepy, kind of weird. And so then I was going down another aisle, and a toy just fell down on the floor. And I'm telling you, after a second event, I started to get a little creeped out.
Sure.
So I didn't want to go to that Toys R Us anymore. Didn't think much about it. Now, here's where Google comes in handy. There was a show on TV, it was real popular, called That's Incredible.
Yeah, I remember. I've heard of That's Incredible.
Yeah, well, Google this, YouTube, That's Incredible, Haunted Toys R Us.
Okay.
And that's your homework and challenge. That Toys R Us was built on a supposedly a place where a guy was chopping wood and cut his leg and bled to death. And anyway, that Toys R Us was well known. I saw this and didn't think nothing about it except for it was kind of creepy till I saw the show. In the show, they set up cameras, a lot of unexplained things. So my memories after that were Toys R Us was a spooky haunted place. So
that's why they went out of business.
And if you're from Oklahoma and you know about the haunted Toys R Us, I don't know what it's going to turn into today, but they better watch out who buys it because that place is haunted.
So, it's funny because now that reminds me of a story. So when I lived in Dallas, we lived in Allen, and there was an old school Toys R Us there, and I remember one time we were driving by it, and there was like this little robot little thing just rolling in the parking lot. The parking lot was empty. I think it was a Sunday morning. We were coming back from church. And there was this little just rolling in the parking lot, and I was telling my parents, look at that thing. I mean, somebody's got to get that or whatever. And my dad took us back home, and he said, I'm going to go get it. And he left. I don't know if he ever really did. And he probably doesn't remember it anymore. But he may have just left to appease me. And then came back.
Because, all throughout my life, some people have said, the perfect place to work for you would be Toys R Us. You should be a manager at Toys R Us. And I was like, no, that place is creepy and haunted. And they are all kind of creepy at night.
Right.
Once the lights go down,
yeah.
They're kind of creepy anyway.
Right.
But that one for sure was. So, anyway.
Yeah, but you work at a place that was based on Five Nights at Freddy's now.
Yeah. So. Oh, it's definitely haunted.
Yeah. Oh, Cheese.
It's haunted for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
why do you think all those games quit working all the time?
Right. That's what they
Gremlins.
Ride by themselves.
That's right.
Oh,
yeah.
So,
well, there you go. So let's see. Let's LOL, all these haunted Toys R Us's.
They are, man. They're creepy. So
well, they're not haunted anymore.
Well, now they're really haunted because nobody's in there messing with them. They're just having a heyday in there. I don't know. They ain't got toys to play with, so maybe they're upset.
There's a whole thread, guys, on Facebook where people shared their memories. You guys can go see it. Great memories from Toys R Us.
But yeah, it was a big deal. Of course, if you were...
Do you want to give him a hug?
Yes. Bye, Jeffrey. We miss you. But, so long, folks. Of course, if you're raised poor, your Toys R Us was called the Dollar Tree.
That's right. Or just $1. That's
just $1. Yeah,
just $1.
So Toys R Us was not a everyday week thing, but that was what made it cool. It was when you got to go to Toys R Us.
Your birthday. Oh man,
get some birthday money.
Or you saved up some money, go get a game. Oh man.
I bet everybody in this room, chat room, and online have bought a game at Toys R Us,
and probably has the paper slip. Remember the paper slips?
Yeah.
Oh, the paper slips. So you took it to the counter, and the guy went to the back, and he brought the game out.
Or before Best Buy came around, you just went to the kiosk and played for free.
That's right.
And beat the friends, and then the manager come tell you, hey, eventually you got to go buy something or go. Remember all the snacks right at the front?
Oh yeah.
Like a little bag of cotton candy for about this big, for $5. And you get like a whole handful of cotton candy. You're like, wow. That was
like the baseball
great.
Game,
Buying baseball cards at Toys R Us.
Mm-hmm.
Back when that was a big deal to do. So, we miss you, Toys R Us. Maybe somebody, but it could come back. Could make a comeback. And then maybe a little discussion here, John. A lot of people think that online retailers like Amazon and Walmart.com, stuff like that, put Toys R Us out of business. But if you really study it,
right,
they were way in debt.
Exactly.
And
they leveraged their debt. It was venture capitalists trying to make money by expanding rapidly and not taking and basically cashing out every time they sold it.
Because I still think there's something to it, and I think the brick and mortars have a chance of being able to go and pick that toy out and take it home that day.
Absolutely.
So
now, did you hear what Amazon's going to do?
No.
They're going to do a big toy book for Christmas. The one that Toys R Us used to do. There is going to be a big toy book, and Amazon's going to put it out.
Now, if somebody was smart, like Walmart, if you notice that Walmart's toy section has gotten bigger over the years.
It has. It's much bigger now.
And they got 18 lanes that nobody's using.
That's true.
So I would invest a little bit. If I was Walmart, I would go a little even bigger on my toy section, because that was also a place, when we didn't get to I've seen kids going into Walmart saying, "Can I have a toy? Can I have a toy? Can I have a toy?" And so, but it is sad though that they couldn't recover and that the owner died, and so that part of our childhood memory. One thing they didn't. Do you ever remember? I remember a couple with some arcade games in the front area, but that wasn't a big draw.
No, I don't remember.
And I think that
was right before my time.
I think
I came along.
I think they missed the game on. They always had those big foyers in front.
Yep.
I always thought to myself, weren't there more games up here?
Yep.
I think they missed the ball there.
Right.
And but anyway, hope you guys had some good Toys R Us memories, and yours wasn't haunted and wrecked your childhood.
Okay, let's see. It says, I have never been to Toys R Us, and I'm 48 years old. That's Edward.
Wow.
You missed out. You can still go to Canada. So there you go. You still go into Canada. Let's see. I remember getting a lot of WWF figures that I wish I still had. My favorite toy place as a kid, though, was Hill's Department Store. All of my He-Man figures came from Hill's.
Okay.
So there you go. He-Man.
I remember KB toys.
Yep. KB. We went to KB quite a bit. We had a KB in the mall here, and then Toys R Us opened up later. The Toys R Us that's here, I think, opened up in the 90s.
Okay.
It hasn't been here since.
It's been here a long time.
I'm pretty sure it opened up in the 90s, because I remember when that was just grassland.
Yeah.
Like where it is now. So it's been there though probably at least 20.
Right across the street from a big high school here, which was, I always thought, why didn't they build it next to elementary school or something? But
the funny thing was that I was at that high school for a tournament. Doing like a UIL event, and my parents went over there and pre-ordered a Nintendo 64 for me.
Wow.
Yeah, for Christmas. I didn't get to open it until Christmas. They got it on launch day, and they kept it in the closet.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's my parents. But I bought my, let's see, G.I. Joes and Transformers there.
Oh, yeah.
Of course. Let's see.
I bought a lot of Legos and Hot Wheels. I bought a lot of
where'd you get the shirts?
I bought Star Wars figures.
Exactly. I bought Star Wars figures too.
Yeah.
I bought my lightsabers from Toys R Us. I bought all sorts of stuff.
But I bought them before the first movie came out. At the haunted Toys R Us.
There you go. Where do we get the shirts from? All the shirts came from GameStop tonight. So Tim's Adventure shirt, my Mario shirt, all from GameStop. GameStop.com. Let's see. I really like Super Mario 1. GameStop. Let's see. My first job was at Toys R Us. It was during the Cabbage Patch Kids craze.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Y'all, those of you who are younger have never watched those YouTube videos, go back and watch Fights Toys R Us Cabbage Patch Dolls.
That and Fights Toys R Us Tickle Me Elmo.
Yes. Those were some low that beat some Chuck E. Cheese brawls that we have every once in a while.
Yeah, but you guys still have bras.
Yeah, we're still.
That's right. Your bras.
We're still fighting. We're still fighting.
Right, exactly. So, okay, that's enough about Toys R Us, Tim.
All right.
I want to talk a little bit about what I have bought lately.
Okay.
Okay, and some of it's down there.
Ah.
But we'll go ahead and do that just real quick. You can hold this.
All right.
We're not giving it away though. You can tell them right now.
Okay. This is not a giveaway.
This is not a giveaway.
Well, I mean, if they contribute $200 right now,
yeah, $200, you guys can get one
free.
of these. So Tim, what do you got there?
This is a NES Classic Edition.
So I was able to pick up 3 of these on launch day.
Wow.
And you can get them. This is not a giveaway.
Okay.
Did I say that again?
Yeah, not a giveaway.
Not a giveaway. But yeah, so
the sought after.
The sought after NES Classic Edition. Yeah, you guys can get them. They're available everywhere. So, like I said, I was able to pick up 3.
And how much are they?
$59.99.
$59.99. Not a bad deal.
There you go. So that's
play
one
a lot of. What else you
the
bought?
other thing I bought was this.
Drop Mix.
Do you know what Drop Mix is,
No,
Tim?
I have no
Drop
clue.
Mix is a board game that's made by the same people who made Rock Band, and it has a dock that you put cards on. You hook up a tablet or a phone, and the cards have a vocal, a drum beat, a guitar riff for a song.
You have to guess the song?
No,
or
you
the
don't
artist?
guess the song. You play the cards on the panel, and it plays what you throw down. So you can have the lyrics of one song, the drum beat of another song, the guitar riff from another song.
Okay, well,
and it actually has a game to it, but it's about mixing the music.
Okay.
Now you can get this. This was $100 when it came out.
Wow.
You can get it right now at Best Buy for $30.
Wow.
And it comes with 60 cards. You can get additional cards for it.
Okay.
I have not played this.
So
but
it's kind of
I
like
harmonics.
It's kind of like, have you seen the YouTube video of the Bee Gees and AC/DC mix?
Yes.
And so it's
But
kind of like
it mixes it on the fly.
Yeah, you mix so you could have different songs and different
Right,
beats.
exactly. So
that would be cool.
And you can see it has Bruno Mars, Jason Derulo, Meghan Trainor, Carly Rae Jepsen. It's got a lot of pop stuff in it, but there's a rock set, there's a country set, there's another pop set.
Oh, that would be fun.
So, and it has different games. There's 3 different games that you play with it.
We need to play this and video it. That's
So there you
fun.
go. We will play this. But $30 at Best Buy for Drop Mix. And it's made by Hasbro, but it was actually developed by Harmonix, the same people who made Rock Band.
How cool.
So, I heard good things, so I picked it up. So there you go. Okay, and then here, I don't want this to fall over. I'm gonna put it right there. And then the last thing I bought, Tim, I bought a couple of these when I bought our shirts.
Oh,
so I got
okay.
the shirts, but I also bought these. These are Pixel Pals. GameStop had these on sale. So this, Tim, is a Raccoon Mario from Super Mario Bros. 3.
Sweet.
They light up. You put batteries in them. So I've got this one, and then we got Super Mario World Mario, and then I've got Mario 3. Luigi.
So you just could like set them around your game room on your games.
Yeah, here's
or
a Mega
something?
Man. I'm a big Mega Man fan. So.
Sweet.
But
How much were these?
These some of them were $5, some of them were $10 on clearance.
Oh, wow.
So some of them were $5 each, some of them were $10. It just depended on which ones.
That's awesome.
So I mean, but I bought them because good game room decoration. So there you go.
All right. Any chatter in there before we go on to what I think is going to be the big discussion topic?
Oh, okay, and it's already 8 o'clock. So.
Yeah.
But let's see.
Well, that's long.
Did
It's
you
just-
guys hear about the guy who bought $1 million worth of toys from the closing Toys R Us and donated them to Toys for Tots?
No.
No, we did not, but that is freaking awesome.
Yes.
Wow. Here's the thing. When I went to Toys R Us, like when they went to 50% off, there were people loading up 4 buggies worth of stuff and checking out.
Wow.
No kidding.
Wow.
So, I mean, and I don't know if they were retailers or like what they were, but they were loading up stuff. There was a guy that literally had 4 buggies, him and his wife, and they were pulling one buggy up, checking all the stuff out of it, pulling another buggy up, checking all the stuff out of it. I was
Wow.
like, good Lord.
All right.
So, hey, I guess more power to you if you want to buy
There
it
you
all.
go.
So. But let's see. I heard really good things about Drop Mix. I have 2, which is why I bought it. $30 Best Buy. Go right now, buy it if you haven't.
Yeah.
Because I've heard really good things. My brother bought it. He played it. He said it's great. I've heard it's not so much a game as it is just a music mixing program.
Okay.
But there is a game element to it.
But entertaining.
Right. So we may have to try to play it. So.
Okay.
Okay, Tim. But I think this was the thing we teased that everybody's interested in. The staircase.
So you
want me? Okay, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the
'Cause
disclaimer.
we're gonna
spoilers.
spoil it.
Okay, if you
Totally.
have not seen this and you don't want to be spoiled,
Don't.
exit now.
Right.
Turn off the live show. Get out. Whatever the case may
Adios,
be.
amigo.
That's right. Adios. It was great having you here. Come back next time. So.
And you'll know why we're going to spoil it, because we're going to get an opinion of each other on what we thought the answer, or you should tell what it's about.
Yes, and that's
Okay.
what we're gonna do in 5. Everybody, spoilers out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, if you're staying right now, spoilers.
Right.
Okay,
And you will still enjoy it even knowing the
even
spoilers.
with the spoilers. We
I
should
believe
say
that. If you've never seen it, John, go ahead and tell what is the staircase.
The Staircase is a docudrama about a guy, and I can't remember his name at the moment. You remember?
I do, because we got the same.
Peterson.
All my cousins are like max murderers and
That's
stuff.
right. So what's his first name, though?
Michael.
Michael Peterson. And Michael Peterson called 911 about his wife falling down a staircase.
Yes.
And that's where we begin. Okay,
Right.
She fell down the staircase and died.
Right.
Okay, and so the entire docudrama is based around his guilt
Right.
or his innocence.
Exactly. Did he?
Did he cause something to happen that
Or
killed her?
did she literally
or did she just fall down the staircase?
Fall down the staircase. And the problem is this. is that there was a ton of blood.
Correct.
And so my immediate thoughts and argument were that you couldn't get that much blood from just falling down the staircase. You break your neck or something, or you fall.
Right.
You bust your head open, you have a little blood. But how do you have so much blood? And that's what was debated in court. How could it have happened in a fall? Or she had, 7 lacerations on the top of her head, which were consistent with something striking her. So the prosecution said that she was beaten.
Right.
And pushed down the stairs.
Right.
So that the stair falling did not cause her death.
So
blunt head trauma did.
So the way this is set up is that the first episode kind of gives you the general concept of the event. The second episode, until they get to the court doesn't really start until the third or fourth episode.
Yeah, something like that.
Because they keep giving you details about him and about what happened. Mm-hmm. You keep finding out stuff. So in the second episode, you find out this is not the first time he's been involved in a staircase death.
Right.
And who knew that staircase deaths were so common, apparently.
Right.
So, I mean, there's a lot of information that you learn, and then they go to trial, and we won't say what happens in the first trial, but he goes to jail.
Right. We won't say that he was found guilty, but he did end up spending eight years in prison. Right.
So, exactly. So, he's found guilty. Then they come back. He gets a retrial, and he's found, he pleads.
Right, he
pleads out and gets out of jail.
Okay, so let's go this way. You watch the first, at the end of the first episode, or we're getting any chatter in here?
I see an awe, I see a muted. I think he did it. That's what Edward says. So this is a true story. Yes, this is a true story.
Yes, it is a true story. In fact, it was kind of a high-profile case.
Correct. And I remember when this happened because I remember it was after the Lacey
I remember
Peterson
the word
stuff.
blowpoke.
Right, exactly. I remember it, but I didn't remember it as much as, until I started watching it, I didn't really
it kind of came back.
Right, exactly.
Because he was very wealthy.
Right.
And he was
also married to... His wife was head of a software, like an IT company, and I can't remember not Novell, something like Novell.
He was a writer,
yes.
And he was in Vietnam. He wrote a book about it, and evidently it was a popular book.
He ran for mayor and lost, right?
Right, and very closely election,
very close,
and
he wrote political commentary in the newspaper against the police.
A lot of times it was against the police about. He felt there was a lot of social injustices.
Right.
And he would write about, why are the police arresting all these people, or why are these people passing out speeding tickets when we got all these drugs around?
Right.
That's kind of like a typical article from him. You're more interested in pulling me over than you are people out there selling drugs and causing all of our kids to go bad. And and he also would say stuff like, you're way more inclined to arrest people on the south side of the tracks, you would say. He would say stuff like that, which really, and not that it wasn't true or untrue, it was that it really did probably make him a target in some aspect. So at the end of the first episode, you're sitting there, what's your immediate thought, guilty or not guilty?
I mean, immediately I thought he was innocent. I mean, because I thought, his story seemed very plausible. She fell down. Because we didn't know all the details. At the end of the first one, you just basically know what happened.
Right.
You don't know any of the details. And so, you think, he tells his side of the story, and it seems very plausible. So you're like, there's enough doubt there that he could be innocent.
And what's cool is they really filmed it from day one.
Oh, yeah.
Which makes me suspect, how did he set up the filming so quickly? Okay?
Right.
So my immediate reaction was he must have done it. And because of the way he acted. For instance, if you killed your wife, supposedly, he starts talking about lots of details.
Right. That's true.
Way lots of details. Like, we were sitting right here. No, there was a plant right here, and this was setting this way. And then when I found her, she was exactly like this. And then I did this. You know what I'm saying? It's like, to me, if I go in, my wife's bleeding to death.
Right.
I don't remember. It's like, all I can think about is her.
Right.
I'm like, I don't remember everything, but I helped her. I tried to save her, and I didn't kill her.
Right.
He was way too detailed, like he had thought about it. What should I say? Well, how time frame. The dog was.
I also think I think that part might have been. I mean, I know it may have been filmed a while after.
It was
exactly,
a little while.
Exactly. So I mean, at that point, he's probably gone over it with the police
100 times,
hundreds of times. So it's like at that point, he should have his story kind of down. It's like you think that stuff through.
I'm just saying this is how I felt at that moment
Right.
because later on he explains. You
Right.
got to realize that 30 seconds after she died, I was a suspect.
Right.
And I started thinking about, she dead, but I don't want to go to jail.
Exactly.
And I didn't do this, so I need to make sure. He went back and said, I wasn't even grieving at that point.
Right.
I was just in saving my own butt, kind of.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that made sense to me.
Right.
I'm like, well, yeah, I probably would be thinking the same thing. Oh, God, they think I did it.
Right.
So as the trial goes, you start hearing the
Well,
evidence.
first you find out about the second staircase incident that happened in Germany.
Yeah, like
You find out about that before, and then they had the body
17 years ago or
right,
something like
and then
that?
they had the body exhumed for that one, which was crazy.
Okay, and you got to know the whole story. He ends up, his best friend, they live next door.
Right.
She dies falling down the staircase.
Right.
He takes in her children.
Right.
Okay?
And raises them
And raises them.
as his own.
And they are in
Still
the
there.
court. Now,
And they support him.
they highly support him. So, he ends up raising the kids of the woman who died.
So there was no financial gain for him to do that.
No
There was no
financial-
kind of gain
No.
for him to do that.
I think she had $80,000 worth of insurance or something. It wasn't even nothing,
Right.
enough to bury her and stuff.
Exactly.
But, so you find out some information like that, and then you find out the forensics of it.
Right.
Okay?
Sorry,
And
I'm
the
looking
police,
like
the police say they know what the murder weapon was.
Yes.
And that it had disappeared mysteriously.
That's right.
Very key words. And so they said that there was a missing blowpoke, which is kind of like something you poke a fire with.
Right.
But it's more hollow because you can blow in the end and kind of start it.
Start the fire.
So it kind of looks like a marching band
right. Baton.
baton. That's what it looked like to me. And they said that their aunt gave them, all the family one, and they had one just like it, and they show it, and they said, this is what he beat her on the head with. And we can't find the one she gave him.
Right.
I thought, that's kind of interesting. Where's
the blowpoke?
Where's the blowpoke? So, I'm like, well, that doesn't look good on him. Then you also find out that he is bisexual.
Yep.
And has an
affair.
Or tries to attempt to have an affair.
With another man.
With another man. So you're thinking, well, he portrays himself as this happily married guy.
But he obviously wasn't happily
But he
married.
actually wasn't happily married. Which that comes back into explanation later.
Right.
But anyway, so as it goes on, you start to wonder. I think there's got to be at least 10 times where you're going, okay, he's probably guilty. Well, maybe not. Or
So the one thing that really got me during the trial, and his lawyer's great, we should say.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing that got me during the initial trial was his 911 call. His 911 call is pretty
sounds
convincing.
Yes.
Sounds very convincing. So he's either a really good actor.
Yeah, because at that time they're asking him how many steps. He's like, I don't know.
I have no idea.
Just get here, hurry.
Right.
That
And he
sounds,
keeps saying the address, like
Right.
send somebody right now. And then he even calls back when they don't show up.
Okay.
He's like, "Are you here? Where are you?"
But he hangs up on the 911 caller.
Does he
Twice.
hang up though? Because I don't know if he ever hung up. He just didn't respond. So
Well,
it sounds
they
like
say that he hung up on them.
Right.
And that's weird because it's like the last person you want to hang up on with is the person that's helping you.
Right.
But not everybody behaves or reacts the same way.
Correct.
So we find a lot of forensics, and it all really points to his guilt. But at the point, you got to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt.
Correct.
And the lawyer the night before, they're asking him, and this is what's cool, you see all this behind the stage stuff.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
like, what do you think the percentage are you're going to win tomorrow? And he goes, well, probably about 90%. There's maybe a 10% chance, but
Just by how long it took them.
yeah, it's like a 5-6 month trial, and he's
Right.
like, they deliberate for like 5 days. And so you're thinking, okay, that's probably working in their favor. He says if there ever was a case that should be reasonable doubt, that's this one. It's not perfect. Doesn't mean he didn't do it.
Right.
There's just enough evidence that's too many questions
Right.
that aren't answered. And the only person that knows is her.
Right.
And that was true.
Yep.
I think even to this day, I would say that. So you're you're really going back and forth.
But the thing about it is during the initial trial, there was a forensics expert.
Yes, that testified.
That testified that they found blood on the inside of his shorts. Her blood, right?
Yes.
Her blood on the inside of his shorts.
And the only way he said that could happen is if you're setting over, hitting somebody, and it splatters up. And that made a lot of sense.
Right.
In fact, when they polled the jurors said that testimony they couldn't get out of their minds. Out of all the other stuff, the 10 reasonable doubt things, that one piece of evidence, one spot of blood, to them was very damaging to the case.
So he does all of his appeals, and he doesn't get them. He ends up in jail. How long does he stay in jail?
8 years. I think 7 or 8 years.
8 years. Then they find out that this forensics expert may not be such an expert after all, and has actually falsified information in order to prosecute people.
Right. For instance, on the stand, he says that he has done about 300 to 500 of these cases, and they find out the actual number is something like 17.
Right.
And that was just partially being involved in. The only ones he had actually worked ended up being like 3.
Right.
And none of them involved somebody falling down the stairs, even though he testified, oh yeah, there were people that fell down the stairs. And
exactly.
So they caught him in a lie in another case.
Right. And that guy ended up being proven innocent.
And he was innocent. That was a horrible case.
And he was. Right. And he was innocent. So he got out of jail. And so his lawyer says, now we can make an appeal. They make the appeal. And he doesn't get found innocent.
Right.
But he strikes a plea deal and doesn't have to serve any more jail time. And comes out.
Right. And so you need to watch and see how it all unfolds. But it does make you scary and make you think about the things some people would do at any cost to get a conviction. Don't PO the police officers.
Exactly.
But at the same time, it was how it makes you wonder about our judicial system, because in the end, he had to take a deal he didn't want to take.
Right.
But it ends up being better than going back to jail.
Exactly. And here's the deal. The defense did an absolutely great job at the end, like in their summarization, in their final statement, of saying there is definitely reasonable doubt here.
Right.
Okay, they said there's 10 reasonable doubts here. Mm-hmm. There only has to be one.
Right.
I mean, and I was thinking the same thing because I forgot the outcome of it when I'm sitting there. I'm thinking they're going to find this guy innocent because there is too much doubt here.
Where they messed up was and
they found the blowpoke.
Yes.
We should say that.
Yeah, they found the blowpoke. In fact, the cops had it.
Yeah.
And took a picture with it. You didn't hear this part?
No.
The cops...
I remember they found it and they took pictures of it and they put it in the sealed container. I mean, I saw that.
No. That goes way back. The cops found... Another cop ratted on them and said they had it, took a picture of it. We have the picture, and they didn't even present that they had found it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, I do remember
and they
that.
set it in his garage.
Right.
And they actually found the blowpoke later, and it didn't have no blood on it.
Nope.
No, it actually had cobwebs on it.
Correct.
Because it had been there.
It hadn't been used.
And his daughter goes back and looks at old Christmas videos and sees the blowpoke like 10 years ago.
Was in that, yeah.
But then the next year it wasn't there. And the next year it wasn't there.
Yeah.
And the next year, and so it's like, it had been missing for years. So it didn't mysteriously disappear.
Right.
That really, to me...
See, to me, that was the thing. It's like, that's reasonable doubt all of a sudden, because now they don't have a murder weapon at all.
But, so, the forensics and stuff... Anyway, if you guys like that kind of show, we're just going to highly recommend... John told me about it.
Making a Murderer. If you like Making a Murderer, watch The Staircase.
Yeah, you need to watch it.
It's slow going at first.
Yes.
Because it's the build-up.
Give it about 4 episodes.
When they get to the trial, it picks up. Business picks up.
And then I got my wife watching it, and then we're both like, oh my gosh. And then every ending, it's kind of like leaves you where you want to watch the next episode. Right. So have plenty of time because you'll want to binge watch and see what happens at the end.
It's 12 episodes.
And we would love for you to come back next month and give us your opinion.
There you go.
In the end result, John, what do you think?
I mean, I think he may have contributed. I don't necessarily know if he was the one who killed her, but he may have tripped her or something may have happened. I think he had a part in it. But there's enough doubt for me to say I'm not for sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Did he have a part in it? I believe he had a part in it. What kind of part, how much he was involved? Not sure.
Well,
because like I said, he could have easily tripped her. He could have easily spiked her head with something else, like we talked about, and created those. You know, the big thing is the owl theory. Like, the owl came through the window and attacked her, which is why no, seriously, and this happens. Go on YouTube. You will see videos of it. An owl, the theory is that, like the windows were open apparently, and then Al soared in, scraped her head, and knocked her down. And I mean, people think that's a real theory.
The problem the defense did is they didn't go on the offense. They didn't prove that it could have been something else. They just said it didn't happen this way.
Right, exactly.
They didn't give the jury, and that's what's sad in our justice system. It's really not innocent to proven guilty. You almost have to prove yourself innocent.
Absolutely.
And so they didn't prove him innocent, so that hurt him. But then when it comes back to that, the whole police force there were against him, and that I truly do believe that. In fact, I think the one FBI
You think
agent,
he's innocent?
I think at the end, they even said the forensic person who did the autopsy said in her autopsy report that wasn't turned in to the other side was that this could have happened. I think that she could have been going up the stairs. We might mention that she had a few drinks.
Yes.
And she had taken some Valium. That literally it is technically possible through the computer models that you fall backwards, hit your head, fall down, hurt yourself, bleed everywhere, get up, slip in your own blood, hit yourself again or a couple times, and then basically bleed out.
Right.
And they proved they had a woman recording screaming to the top of her lungs.
Right.
And you could not hear it outside where he supposedly was.
Right.
And there's a lot of things that are happening. And another thing is his kids, who were in that house every day,
stood by him 100%.
Stood by him every day, did not waver, and they said that they had a good marriage. Now the problem was how can you have an extramarital affair
and have a good marriage? And
he boiled down to what I think was the honest truth. It wasn't about I want a relationship with you.
Right.
It was about sex.
Right.
Just
Physical.
it was a physical relationship. In fact, he even told the guy,
yes,
I do not want to have a relationship with you.
And told the guy about his wife.
I love my wife very much.
Exactly.
That, to me, said a lot about who he was, because, just because you have an affair doesn't make you a murderer.
Right. Okay, we got to wrap it up,
yeah,
because Jay, I think, has been silent. He just donated $20.
Wow.
So I think he's got us on mute right now.
Okay.
So, there you go.
Jay, what do you need help with? We're now at your service. We can talk about. And you guys, watch The Staircase. Give us your opinion.
Okay,
We'd love to talk about that next week.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. No more Staircase talk.
Okay, we're
Can't
done.
say any more about it. Watch The Staircase on Netflix.
What else did you watch? Because that's a 13 episode, about 45 minutes each. So
yes.
What else took up your time?
Luke Cage, which is about 13 episodes in an hour each.
Okay.
So Luke Cage season 2 just premiered on Netflix, and it's superhero.
You like
Marvel.
Yeah?
I did. Okay, so I've seen every Netflix Marvel superhero show. Seen all of them. And Luke Cage season 2 is not as good as the first half of Luke Cage season 1, but better than the second half of Luke Cage season 1.
Okay.
And if you've seen Luke Cage season 1, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So it's good. I mean, I enjoyed it. I watched it. There were some times that I kind of felt like it was a slog. I feel like sometimes they feel like they have to do 13 episodes when they could just really do 10. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like they expand out stuff they don't need to expand out.
I get you.
But other than that, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the end. I thought it was very good. So I highly recommend Luke Cage season 2. If you watch season 1, watch season 1 first. The first half of season 1 of Luke Cage is fantastic. They have 2 bad guys in season 1, and the first bad guy dies halfway through, and the second bad guy dies, at the end.
Okay.
And the second bad guy is not as strong as the first bad guy.
Okay.
See, and that's the problem with the split.
I see.
So the first 6 episodes of season 1 are fantastic, but season 2 is very good. If you like superhero stuff, I can't recommend it enough. It's dark and brooding like all the rest of them, but I enjoy it. So, and now I'm watching Glow. Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
The whole thing or the second season?
Second season. Okay. I've already seen the first season.
The first season was quite interesting. I haven't started watching the second season yet.
Okay.
Does it pick kind of up?
Right back off where it left off. So if you enjoy Glow, it's fantastic.
Just funny because if you
I like the setting. It's in the 80s.
If you grew up in that time and you watched wrestling at that time, you could really see how this could have been like a true story almost.
Exactly.
So it's very funny, very entertaining.
I only watched the first episode. I fell asleep halfway through the second. I was really tired last night after fireworks, so I'll rewatch the second episode tonight. But highly recommend Glow. Before we get to yours, Tim, I'm going to go. It seems like we
have a question or something.
Here. Let's see what we got here. Can you give a thumbs up when you're done talking about it? The staircase, I haven't seen
We're
it
done.
right now, so I don't get the spoilers. Okay, yes, thumbs up. Watch it. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay. JR said this is a question real quick. I missed getting a Super Off-Road 2 player by for $100 by 4 minutes while watching the show.
Oh,
sorry, JR. I'm sorry, man. So bummed about it, so it was stuck in demo mode and would not take quarters. I'm sorry. Hey, we've helped you repair so many games. I think that we should be given a pass.
Right.
For helping you miss that. I'm just saying. Let's see.
Oh, it was this show. I thought he meant the staircase
show.
or something he was watching.
No. Let's see. Awesome. Thank you. Wait.
Every game I've ever missed out on, I just take it as, somebody else needed it more than me.
Exactly.
Or it was going to be a pain in the butt from then on.
That's right. Exactly.
So take that to karma.
Okay, let's see. Jastel says, I looked at the arcade museum and all they had was a stand-up model and not the mini. Oh, okay. I wish I had a better manual for Super Hang-On Mini ride I'm working on. The prior owner appears to have wired the start button to the turbo button, and I've got to figure out the right wire.
Should be the same.
Let's see. I looked at the arcade museum, and all they had was the stand-up model and not the mini rider model. I had to get a copy off a guy on Facebook, and that had an okay copy, but missing wiring schematics. Also have to figure out if I can replace the handbrake with a normal motorbike handbrake, it doesn't have anything
Let me
special.
answer him, because you know this too. If you go to texaspinball.com
Yes.
and you email and ask for talk to Ed.
Yeah, Ed used to be big into Super Hang-On.
Ed had at one time like 10 of them.
Right.
And he knows everything there is to know about them. If he has a manual or anything, he can help you. And that's a bit
We used to have a mini.
Easiest way
We got it from Ed.
Yeah, it's the easiest way I can tell you how to get some information on that is to ask him, and he'll point you in the right direction.
Okay.
But I think it's the same. Should be the same pinouts.
Yes, I would
just a
think.
miniature
I know. I
version.
think the board's the same.
It's
even.
like a miniature Pac-Man. It's the
Exactly. I thought so. But we could be wrong. Glow Season 1 was really good. I agree. I like 80s themed stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, stuff that takes place in the 80s.
But it was just, it's kind of well written. It's just funny.
It is.
And
It's funny. It's entertaining. Now, you
good
saw a
backstory.
show that...
You haven't watched.
So, I looked at it. I looked at the trailer for it, and it looks a little rough for, like, Deirdre to watch. And she's a big Pierce Brosnan fan. But the name of the show is The Sun. It's an AMC show, but it's also on Hulu right now streaming, right?
Yes.
So tell us about The Sun. Is it rough? It's about
It
like
has
early Texas, right?
It has real life. It talks about. I mean, the opening scene is
Sorry.
Apache Indians or Comanche Indians, I think. They attack his farm and they rape his mother and sister. And you don't necessarily. It doesn't actually show everything.
Sure.
But you know what's going on.
Right.
And they take him captive, and he lives with them.
Okay.
Now, to just summarize, what happens is Pierce Brosnan is the lead actor who plays it's called The Son, basically because they call him like a first son of Texas. He's one of the early leaders in the young Republic of Texas new state.
Okay.
And goes from the old West cowboy and Indian days to oil baron days.
Right.
So it's that transition time. And but while living with the Comanches, he learns Indian ways, and he also understands, and so it doesn't, if you're Indian, you won't be too offended. I mean, it's a lot of realistic stuff, and by all means, there was some brutal things that happened.
Sure.
But at the same time, you get to understand why they felt that way. They felt like you come into my house and see if I don't get brutal with you. You know, they felt like they were being robbed and how they felt. So he began to, even though they basically took him away from his family, he began to, at one point, he stays with them instead of leaving. And he develops more of a friendship with them instead of, and so there's a good story there that I think everybody would enjoy.
Well, I like several AMC shows. I mean, AMC does good drama.
But it can get, it's funny. I'll just tell you a scene. Like,
So how does Pierce Brosnan a first son of Texas if he's British?
Because he doesn't play British.
Like his accent
he
is
talks
everything?
like he's from Texas.
Wow.
From South Texas.
Okay, look at that.
So, another thing that he does is one time he's talking to this guy, and this guy's a banker, and the banker is kind of being real arrogant with him, and and kind of talking down to him, and in his mind he's sitting there imagining just scalping the guy, because he's like, okay, he's like, he's just, but his kind of Indian ways is coming out of him, but he's also kind of a ruthless businessman, and so it shows how the times were tough, and a lot of law was taken into their own hands and stuff like that. So it's pretty realistic. I would say that every episode has that one or two rough scenes, but after that, it's just like Little House on the Prairie drama, hardly any language, nothing. I mean, there's just very little language. There's not much. If you get past a couple scenes at the beginning, and then when they're, you'll know when those scenes are about to take place.
Sure.
So try it. Go a little past that part. Then it gets a lot of drama. There's some love story in there. I think she would end up liking it.
Sounds good. So, okay, JR says, gotta go, guys. Thanks again, as always. See you on August 2nd.
Okay.
See you then. We're about to wrap it up here, too. I picked up a baby Pac-Man. It's in rough shape, but all of the artwork and playfield overlay is available. Looking forward to restoring it. I'll hit you guys when I run into some issues. We used to have 2 baby Pac-Man.
Oh, yeah, we've had a couple of them.
Yeah, we've had a couple of them. So, no monitor, so I have to have an LCD in it.
A 13-inch.
Yes. So, I may have to put an LCD in it. Yeah, 13-inch. Do you guys sell any games or just keep them? Very rarely do I sell games now.
No, I've got some that I need to sell.
Right.
I'm just, because they're just sitting there wasting. I'm at that point, I don't want to hoard games.
Exactly.
Because if I don't have room, I think somebody needs to
Now, when we cleaned out our storage building, that's when we sold everything.
We had a big sale.
That's
yeah,
right,
we usually have these.
sale.
Every 5 years, we have a kind of a cleaning out sale.
Right.
And we've got a lot of our games that we particularly like and our grails that we're keeping.
Right.
But, there's no sense. I have 3 Trons. There's no sense in having 3.
Exactly.
So I need to at least sell.
Now, they all need work, but
right.
you got 3.
Like one that works.
Right, there you go.
And so, it's like stuff like that. Projects I keep saying I'm going to get to. I really do need to clean out. That's a trend going these days about downsizing. And
yeah, exactly.
So I need to.
Before we go, is there anything you're looking forward to coming up TV-wise or movie-wise?
Well, I after watching that, I was like, man, I really like these crime show docudramas.
Me too.
I've been looking for one. I did watch a show last night that I think you would like. It's on YouTube and it's free.
Which one?
And it's a movie called Diverted. It is about 9/11.
Okay.
Right after 9/11, these planes were coming in, and we shut down the whole international. Do you know about this town in Canada? It's a great story. These planes were 36 planes were diverted to this little town in Newfoundland that had 6,000 people, and we put 7,000 people on that island, and they had 500 hotel rooms. And nobody knew what was going on. They just knew that U.S. Air was shut down. And then they found out about 9/11.
Right.
A lot of those people were going to New York, had family members in the Twin Towers.
Gotcha.
This whole town went into beast mode, like helping.
Wow.
They got so much food and stuff together and donated that it was spoiling. They shut the ice hockey rink down and they used it as a giant refrigerator.
Wow.
And they housed people. They gave them showers for about 4 or 5 days, and they made lifelong friendships with all these people and took them in. And it just is a great, great story there's a love story and stuff that happened and all this stuff and how humans can be really good. Yeah. And especially in times of trial. And what is so cool is that now that I heard this through another source, that they had started, the people were so thankful. When they got on, lived their lives, got on, moved to New York, Chicago, wherever they were going, that they set up scholarship monies and they have raised enough that every kid that was like a teenager or in school at that time, every single kid in that whole town got a scholarship, $15,000 scholarship.
Wow. To
go to college.
That's
so it's a cool, if you just want to watch something different, Diverted, or just Google research about this town. I can't believe I can't remember the name of it. Diverted, yeah, because they all got diverted. Can you imagine the air traffic controller? They were expecting one plane that day,
golly,
and 36 jumbo jets come in, and they had to, hey, go this way, circle around one more time. We got 3 landing over here,
right?
And then they took those people in. They bussed them. They took them to their houses. They took them to their school. They made up temporary shelters. They entertained for them. They brought them food. They brought them clothes. They made sure they got showers. made sure they were loved on and taken care of through that time. And I just thought, this is like, it should have been a bigger movie. It should have been, this story needs to be telling. It makes me really want to go to that town one day.
There you go.
There's only 500 hotel rooms.
That's
right. But it's beautiful. It's really, and it was shot in that town, so it's really pretty. And anyway,
Diverted.
we'll watch Diverted or do some research on the planes after 9/11 because they couldn't land.
Now you're saying, I'm going to go the opposite way. You were saying you like the docudrama stuff.
Yeah.
I go on these binges of watching American Greed on Hulu.
Okay.
CNBC American Greed, if you've never seen it before.
Yes.
Where it's documentaries about people who have taken greed to the extreme and gotten caught. If you haven't seen it, I watch those from time to time. I'll go through like 10 or 15 of them on Hulu.
Just for reference, it's called Gander. Like
Gander
Mountain.
Okay.
Gander, Canada.
Gander, Canada.
Do research on the town of Gander and what they did for people all over the world. There were some people that couldn't even speak their language.
Sure.
They were just like, I know there's a whole group of Italians, they didn't even know what they were saying. They're just like, well, we'll help you. Come on. And they had to find translators and stuff. It was really cool.
Cool. Okay. I'm tired.
Yeah, me too. We need to go.
Let's wrap it up.
Thanks everybody.
Yeah,
Man,
thanks
some
everybody
people
for being
still here.
Yeah, I know. We if you stayed this long, you don't get any prize, right?
No, you deserve one, but you ain't get one.
You deserve an
Sorry.
award, but that's it. So, but we do thank you guys for watching or for joining us tonight. We want to thank you guys for tuning in, and remember August 2nd, right, Tim?
August
Next live
2nd.
show, 5:30 Central Time, p.m. And we hope to see you guys then. Thanks for listening.
Watch the staircase in between now
Watch
and then.
the staircase
and
send us an email about it if you want to talk about it, or we can discuss it on the next live show.
Or if there's something you're really into, you want us to watch, maybe we can discuss your show.
That's right, exactly.
Right.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Night, everybody. Thanks for joining us again, and have a good one. Thanks for everybody who donated, too.
Yes,
So thanks for the donations.
thanks
We
so
always
much.
appreciate it. Take care, guys, and we'll see you on the next live show.
Bye-bye.
All right.